Well,
heck yeah.
tasting's believing.
This is very good.
Yeah, I thought that one was killer. I could have.
ISO, a link to keg and bottle to purchase.
It'll be gone by the time that this podcast comes out. But yeah.
No, I'm saying for me.
I'll make sure you get it.
ISO for Ken Arthur Millicents. My one Patreon member.
Awesome.
Hello, and welcome to episode 163. The mashup, the best bourbon conversation you're going to hear all week long. We're your hosts, Stephen, Kenny, and Anthony. What's up, fellas?
Yo.
Oh, you're not Anthony.
Hola.
You're not Stephen. Those knuckleheads are on vacation again. That's right. So, they are. They're gone, guys. They're gone. So this is not going to be your typical episode. But I called in some big guns, Mr. Ryan Alves and Mr. David Jennings.
What's up?
DJ, Rare Bird 101.
What's up, everybody?
Oh, yeah. So what's up, guys? How are you all doing?
Doing good now.
Good.
Yeah, I'm semi-good. We had a little sipping at the house last night. I got to go to Buffalo Trace and do a barrel pick. That was fun. And then afterwards, came back to the house, chilled for a little bit. But then about 7 o'clock, had some visitors. And we're up to about 1:30, 1:45. Just,
you sleep downstairs?
Yeah, for a while. Well, because I don't want. I snore a lot more when I sip bourbon. I didn't want to wake up the wifey as bad. But
we've all been there.
Yeah. So last night though, Ralph Burgess, Ralph.
Mm-hmm. Met him today, actually.
Yep, Ralph, great dude. He's actually a tour guide at Buffalo Trace, but he's been in our bourbon groups way longer than that. Ryan Lynch was in town, so Ryan was over. My brother was over. Brian Kendrick. I think I talked about him on one of the other podcasts. I went to school with him and his wife. And he is from the Raleigh, North Carolina area, and they found the pod and started enjoying it, and a lot of his buddies like it, so he was over hanging out. And then I had my another local bourbon gal, Joanna, was over. So it was a fun night. Good stuff, cool times. What you guys been up to?
Well, just got off a plane, so
there we go.
Yeah, I had some cancellations and some shuffling around, but I made it, so we're here. All's well.
Well, so what y'all don't know is David got off the plane. He called an Uber, and I actually hijacked his Uber. So I took him back to my house instead of his hotel. So he is here. He's actually against his will. But no.
You're gonna have to force me to drink whiskey.
That's right, baby.
It's awful.
What about you, man? Did you go to Railbird last weekend?
Yeah, I was at Railbird for 2 days or 4 days, really. One day setting up, the day before, and then Saturday, Sunday, and then tore back down Monday morning. It was a good 4 days.
Yeah.
Two very long days, about 8 a.m. to past midnight both days. So it was pretty long, but awesome time. Music was incredible. Chris Stapleton closed the show down for the weekend. That was really awesome. The dude could play. I could listen to him play guitar forever.
Yeah,
just is really, really, really talented.
I think he's so good at that because he drinks Traveler whiskey.
That's probably
like a really good, Canadian blend of.
Sure. Hey, I did have the Railbird signature cocktail sort of was the Traveler Lucky Penny, I think is what it was called. And it was damn good, whatever it was. Very light and refreshing.
Yeah. I didn't go to Railbird. My oldest son went for a couple of days, though. Mm-hmm. But we also, last Sunday, we had a bottle drop in one of the local bourbon groups I'm in. And then that was on Sunday, same day as Railbird. So hung out downtown for a little while. But I went to the Paddock Bourbon Club that night. It was a really good time. They had a lot of good cocktails, a lot of allocated bourbon there. So if anybody's in town, it's another good place to kind of hang out and chill. Kind of got to be a member of it, or at least, I guess, know a member. So it's not just going to be like the overcrowded, the crazies, the super drunks, the this and the that. Like, it's just a lot more chilled, laid-back atmosphere. Mm-hmm. And he actually, if this looks familiar to you, Dark Arts Whiskey House. He has a 10-year pick there.
Nice.
That he actually hooked me up with.
Oh, yeah.
But this one is in my wheelhouse because it's Armagnac finished.
Ooh.
So that's actually a really good one. We can try that later tonight. But 10-year Armagnac finished, but it doesn't taste like a amped up, super sweet, weird kind of finish. It's just it gives that little subtle finish to it. Mm-hmm. It's like with Macaulay, man. A lot of that stuff is like subtly finished, just to add a little, umph to it, a little flair to it. So it's not like you're just drinking a completely finished whiskey. It's really cool.
And that's right up Macaulay's alley, it seems, too.
Yeah.
Like he whatever he does, he adds that little bit of flair to it.
Yeah. So a couple things, though. Talked last time that Anthony wasn't here, that, I had to pay more attention. So tonight's going to be rough because I've already been 3 Redbreast 27 batch 4s, but luckily I got that in about 5 minutes before the podcast started. So depending on how many bottles I missed tonight, we'll see how this ever happens again, or I'll just wait till Anthony's in town to record. But so tonight, though, we do have a couple shout-outs. We actually have 2, and then David talked about another one. I'm going to do the first one. This shout-out came to us via Facebook from Greg M. I actually reached out on Facebook Messenger. I guess it was to Anthony or to the Mashup. I still don't have access to all the socials. I don't think they trust me with that. So do not have access. Smart. Yeah, actually probably pretty smart. So I'll be down here at freaking 1:30 in the morning, right. Tipsy as can be, doing something. No, love the show. Been listening the last few weeks. Great job, y'all. So do appreciate that, Greg M. And then the episode with David talking about the raconteur and just David in general and his books and how that relationship came to be. David shared that on some of his socials, and he had a lot of good feedback as well. Is that right?
Yeah, matter of fact, I had several people give me a shout-out on Twitter saying they listened to the episode and enjoyed it. And this in particular is from a M.N. Johan, I guess is how this is pronounced, maybe Johan. It's Johan.
Last name Bach.
Yeah.
No.
It's M.N. Johan. He says, say hi to Rarebird. Listened to a great podcast with him the other week. Such a wealth of inside information. Most of all, enjoy your day. I really appreciate that. So thank you.
Fun
Glad
stuff.
you had fun.
And then the other shout out I got, this was left via Facebook Messenger as well. Awesome podcast, and I think I'm your number 1 fan. I really love Buffalo Trace products and hope you all will review more of them. I've listened to the complete catalog 87 times, using a VPN and incognito mode to help you all get more listens. I travel a lot on vacation. My whole family listens on our drive. This is from Lanthony Amperos.
Wow.
Lanthony, thank you,
Lanthony.
buddy. Really appreciate that review, Lanthony.
Let's get him a sticker.
Appreciate that, buddy.
All right. A Glencairn.
So, for the listeners, though, a little bit different episode tonight. We're not going to do a bottle review with Past Drive By, so you can go ahead and turn it off now if that's what you came here for. But what we are going to do, just talk a little industry stuff, more David stuff, Ryan stuff, bourbony stuff. But what we've done is we have poured each other blinds. So what David brought 4 blinds for Ryan, and these are all actually picks that Ryan has done.
Correct.
And then Ryan brought 4 blinds for David, and it's all picks that he's done. And then Ryan brought 4 blinds for me. So we blinded those tonight. Be a lot of dead time while we're doing, some dead time while we're going over the blinds. So Anthony's got some good editing to do. More of a chill hangout tonight type of thing. Ryan Lynch also left a 32-year Irish whiskey for us. He was over last night, so we're going to hit that here in a little bit as well. I did forget to mention that if you'd like a shout out, please like and leave us a review on Apple Podcast, Facebook, Instagram, Hinge, Farmers Only, something. So appreciate y'all. You can do that. And Anthony actually just texted. He said, "Good luck tonight, sir." I just texted him, "Dude," and then "Ugh." See if he replies back. If so, I'm gonna call him, put him on air real quick. So, David, last time you were here, that's when we talked about Raconteur. It actually just released.
Just released, yep.
And we're talking about, or Anthony brought up, and then Stephen brought up where it said it was batch 1. So we had talked about, it's a batch 1. I mean, there might be a batch 2. And you had alluded to, depending on how well it was received, there may or may not be a second batch in the works. So do you have an update for us on that?
There will be a second batch.
Oh.
Got a lot of good feedback. Had a lot of people inquiring, especially today. My inbox was really lit up. I guess some reviews came in or whatever and spurred some interest. But we are working on it. Probably just a few days away before we start building it on a large scale. We've been working on a small scale. So really happy with how it's turning out.
That is awesome.
Looking forward to getting it to more people.
We have drank through 1 bottle complete, and then I gave you my other bottle over there. It's probably half. So we've already drank 1.5 bottles.
Danning it.
Yeah. Oh, and that doesn't count the fact that I had the whole bottle from James that was the very last blend just before the final. So that's also like 3/4 of the way gone. So
yeah, you got the blueprint blend, and then you got the early batch blend, and then you got the real deal.
I feel special. I feel so special.
I thought the sale went great. I mean, it's I can speak for it on the retail side.
Yeah,
I thought it was awesome. The feedback was great. It took us
about a day.
About a day.
Yeah, 24 hours or so. Yeah.
It wasn't something we were stressed about or like
and
it
I
went
didn't
well.
really put a lot of marketing into it because you kind of want to. We talked about this last time. It's like
we did.
It's a fine line. You can overdo it, and it kind of turns people off. And you can just not do anything, and people just don't know about it. So
if you overdo it too, sometimes it sells out in 17 seconds, and everyone's mad.
Yeah.
So this was I thought it was a good balance.
Right. Well, I appreciate that.
Which is why you're also getting more reach outs now because people are starting to hear more about it and like, oh crap.
Well, to me, nothing is better than word of mouth.
Yeah.
You can read reviews, you can watch reviews on YouTube, and those are all very helpful. And I watch whiskey reviews all the time. I read whiskey reviews all the time, and I write whiskey reviews. But word of mouth, like if somebody comes up to me and says, "Hey, man, you need to try this or you need to buy this," and I trust their palate, and I'll usually take them up on it and do it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of them will be in our whiskey of the year blind tastings. I'm sure one of the batches.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I mean that one's going in there for now for sure.
Yeah. And if batch 2 comes out,
then it's crazy.
Crazy. What we'll probably do on something like that is just like how we've done before, like with the Elijah Craig batches or some other batches. We'll put them against each other, and then whichever one of the better of the two. Yeah, so that way you're not like having a bunch of.
Gotcha.
Like last year, if we'd have put all 5 14.5-year rare character exceptional malts in there, all 5 would have finished, I think, in the top 12 at least for sure. So, but we only did one. We just do one and only one, that kind of thing.
Yeah, you're trying to get a diverse range of profiles.
Yeah,
I got you.
Yep.
It's definitely biased because I retailed it, and David is a very good friend of mine. But I thought it was one of the better rides that I've had this year. So,
well, thank you, man. I appreciate that,
dude. 100%. I think so. I mean, I really do. I'm not just saying that. It's like as you know. I mean, I never even tasted it till I literally put it in a blind. I said literally. I talked about that last episode. I'm going to quit saying literally. But I didn't even taste it until it was in a blind with 4 other whiskeys, and I had no idea which one was which, just so I had a totally unbiased opinion of it.
That's always the best way to go. And it's funny you said the literally thing. When I went back and listened to the episode that we recorded,
you say a lot.
I probably said it like 8 times.
I say it. I say it all the time. I don't.
Like shit.
Well, see, all right. So part of the reason why I say that is, and the reason also, whenever you hear somebody say 2 for reals to me, because I joke and kid like horribly, like way too much. So when I say literally, I'm like, hey, make sure I'm not just joking or not just being silly or dumb on this.
That's your tell.
Yeah, or so I say literally because I'm being, I want you to know, hey, I am for real being serious. But you did mention about David being a friend of yours, so that's one thing. On the episode that David was on, you were going to come that night, but you got sick.
Yeah.
I think that was that night.
Yep.
So how'd y'all meet?
Instagram DMs.
Yeah, had to be Instagram.
I don't remember
Instagram or.
Yeah, it's probably Instagram.
It was Instagram.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I when the day that we did the drop, I think I put it on my story. I didn't put it in a post. I actually scrolled back. It took me a while.
I bet you.
I scrolled all the way back to like our first messages in 2015,
That's wild. I've never done that before.
I think.
2017.
2017. Yeah. And he had just had a Wild Turkey blog, and
you love Wild Turkey.
And I love Wild Turkey, and I was actually living in Lawrenceburg at the time, and so
you were
just
looking
sort of
for a diamond, weren't you?
Oh yeah, that's what it was, and he found one.
Yeah,
and then it was hilarious because you were like, I don't know if I should ship it.
We're amateurs.
Yeah, and I was like, well, maybe you shouldn't. And I was like, all right. He was like, well, that's all right. I'll take it anyway. Like I'll keep it anyway. Don't worry about it. And because I don't think I had paid you or whatever. And now
we were kids.
Now. Yeah, we were.
We're kids, man.
But we talked for. I mean, I would say. I talked to him as much as I talked to anybody.
Yeah.
We probably talk. Every week. At some point.
Yeah.
Sometimes every day.
Sometimes every day.
In the thick of it.
Awesome,
it depends.
Because both of you have like a true just affinity for turkey, man. Yeah. So it's kind of it's pretty cool.
It was a very natural cadence and sort of like growth to our kind of friendship. And,
and then we did that first pick.
And I don't know how many we've done since.
Yeah.
It's been a bunch.
That first pick was awesome too.
Yeah, it was it was a very, very fun day. I saw Adam recently.
Yeah.
He came to the shop and sold us some bottles, and saw him recently. It was maybe a month ago. Him and his wife came in, and it was good to hang out with them. And I got to let them try. He got to try Pride of Vincent County that day, I'm pretty sure.
Sweet.
And maybe a couple other things.
Yeah, he was the one that made Eddie get in the truck.
Get in the truck.
Well, he made me tell Eddie
to get in the truck. Yeah,
get Eddie, get back to the truck.
Yeah, I remember that.
There's actually, I don't know if you remember this, all those pictures that Victor shot. There's this one where he and I are walking.
Yeah.
And like that's when he's like,
is that when he told you?
That's when he's pulling me aside. He's like, I need you to tell Eddie. Mm-hmm. We got to try this barrel because for those who don't know the story, we had finished. Mm-hmm. We had picked 2 barrels we were very happy with, and a truck pulls up, and a lady who works at Wild Turkey got out. She comes up to Eddie and she's like, I got another load for you. And he's like, okay, how many on there? And she's like, well, you're not going to believe this. There's just 1 barrel. So it was a tractor trailer with 1 barrel on it. And so Adam was like, we got to do this. We got to do this. And Eddie's like, you're going to make me get up there and tap that barrel, aren't you? I'm like, afraid so. And we ended up taking it. Mm-hmm. That was cool.
Swan Song.
Yeah, Swan Song. That was awesome.
That was the I really like that label too. I think Connor did that one.
I think she did.
And it was the cartoon Wild Turkey that we've used for like over the years for
with
the
stickers.
Sunset. Sitting on the front of the Rick House looking at the sunset over the bridge. This whole, it was very.
And then they changed. Remember, they changed up the label on us.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And we had to put them sideways.
We had to do it.
They swapped from the hang tags to the right in that time period. We had made them to go on the back.
Yeah.
And then we got the new label, so we had to put them sideways.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah, because it's on there. Like, sort of, you flip it over. Yeah.
And I actually applied those with Adam. I drove up to Lexington and we put all those on in his office, and that was a lot of stickering. I'm sure y'all been there, done that before.
Well, not me. Well, I did a lot of Bourbon Lore stickers. I will admit. On the bid holiday.
Yeah, that's where I learned my applying stickers to bottle method. I learned it from Adam. You apply it from the middle and then smooth
work your way out.
Yeah, work your way out. That's how you keep from getting the bubbles. Shout out to Adam for that.
But yeah, that's how we met. Instagram DM. Just trying to get a
just nosing through these
that's right.
picks here.
The diamond I own one bottle up there, but I've had a sample. I think maybe even Cameron Loop might have been the one that got me a sample or got me that. One of the two. I think it might have been Cameron. So the other thing is this, man. So David, I mean, obviously you've done tons of single barrel picks. Ryan, you've done like tons and tons and tons and tons of single barrel picks as well. Raconteur, very successful.
Well, thank you.
Both of y'all have a big name. What about, would you guys ever think about doing like your own NDP type of distillery type thing? Especially in not just, I guess that could be a different answer potentially now versus the answer 3 years ago when things were even like booming more per se. But so in general, what do you think about, would you ever do something like that NDP or would you, which in general, but also with the climate where things seem to be leveling out. Like I said, I'm like you guys. I don't think anything's dead on bourbon. I think it's just, which I think we talked last time, David. I think it's just kind of corrected itself from its incorrect COVID boom.
Right.
So I don't think it's not dead by any means at all, but it's just not, it's just where it really probably should be because you don't have people just sitting at home with nothing to do and no travel, no vacations, extra money, COVID money, blah, 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 blah. So, what do you guys think about that? Would you ever do something like that?
Well, you touched on some points, a few points. First of all, there's no shortage of creativity. So, when people say, well, everything's already been done before, why would you try something that, everybody else has done it? Why do we need yet another bourbon label? Why do we need yet another rye label, whatever? Like I said, there's no shortage in creativity. If you have someone that is really wanting to do something and that they're passionate about it, that more often than not leads to good things. It doesn't necessarily lead to good things immediately. Sometimes you have to plug away at it and try. But I don't think I don't think that anyone should be putting the brakes on creativity. So if they want to be creative with liquid, if they want to create bourbon, rye, whiskey blends, whatever, I think they should go for it. I think that's something that there will always be a market for that. I don't think that the boom is over.
Yeah.
I think, like you said, it's more of a correction. It's not like you can go into a store right now and buy a bottle of Pappy.
Yeah.
The day you walk into the store and Pappy's sitting on the shelf,
right,
it's over.
Then you know it's over.
Yeah, right. But unless they just start making a ton of Pappy.
Hey, dude.
What are you doing?
What's up, man? What you doing?
I'm driving a golf cart right now, off-roading.
Yeah, so tonight did not happen, dude, unfortunately.
Oh, no, what happened?
Well, David's plane got in late. Him and Ryan are at a special tasting event at Total Wine, man.
Are you serious?
Yeah, dude.
We're banning them from the podcast. No more future visits.
Yeah.
Total Wine is a no-fly.
Yeah.
You got to be kidding. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, they're actually sitting right here, and we're actually live on air, bro. You're on air.
Yes, that's not fair. I'm serious though. If you go to Total Wine, you get banned.
Yeah.
Banned.
You're live on air, big dog.
All right, we'll have to cut this out then.
Nope. It's staying on, homeboy.
Well, tell everybody I said hi. If I could talk more, have
Yeah.
the family here in the background.
You're good, man. We'll miss you, buddy. I am missing Ben and bottles right now, so
Just a bit about
yeah.
you guys. Help Jenny out. Get him back on track. Take over the show so you can fit some bottles.
That's right. All right, homie. I'll talk to you
All right,
later.
See you guys.
Bye. All right, so back. Yeah, so yeah. What you walk in, you see Pappy sitting on the shelf, then boom.
Yeah, it's over then. But so, like I said, there's always going to be people that have this desire to do something, and there's no reason to say, well, you can't do that, because there's always the next best idea that someone hasn't figured out yet. But also, like for me, if I have to look at where I'm at now, I have to relate it to music. So growing up, I was a huge music fan. I would spend all my extra money on cassettes, and then when CDs came around, I started buying CDs, and I would just spend hours of my day as a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, all the way up through high school, just listening to music. And it was a good time because I was born in '76, so lots of good music in the '80s, lots of good music in the 90s.
You're born in '76?
'76, man.
I don't think we talked about that last time.
Yeah, I'm an old dude.
No, I was born in '75.
Okay, hey, man. And but so
you have the hair of like a 31-year-old, bro.
Well, with the gray,
like for real, man.
But we grew up in a time where there's great music, So
like Two Live Crew in middle school, and like
everybody dubbed a copy of that tape.
Oh my gosh, no, I'm teasing.
But the natural progression is, so I went from enjoying listening to music to wanting to create music. So I learned how to play piano. I learned how to play guitar. I started writing songs. I sang lead for a band, lead vocals, and
interesting.
So it's it's kind of a natural progression there. When you have a hobby that you're really into, you just want to go deeper, and
I wouldn't know about that. I would not know about going deep into a hobby at all whatsoever. Yeah.
So I guess it's kind of like that. It's like I go from starting to learn about whiskey, starting to enjoy different types of whiskey, doing brand research, history, writing books, writing blog posts. It's only a natural progression to say, okay, I want to try to make something of my own,
Yeah.
And that kind of starts with barrel picks, I think. It's not your own, but it is your own in a very small way.
It still has your name on it.
Right.
And it has your
got
backing.
to pick it. Right.
It's your backing.
Right. So my first advice to anyone that wants to get into this is do a lot of barrel picks, because you're going to meet a lot of people, you're going to have a lot of fun, you're going to taste a lot of different whiskey, and you're going to figure out what makes a good whiskey good. You know what I mean? You're going to feel like you could have 10 whiskeys in front of you, and there's probably going to be one in there that's going to be special. There's probably going to be one or two that aren't. And there's going to be a lot of stuff in the mid,
Yeah.
So one thing that I left with a lot of confidence with, and Ryan was a part of this, was the 18-barrel blend that we did with Bourbon Lore.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. And I think if Kyle, the master distiller at Holiday, Kyle Merkline, if he had not set it up the way that he did, I don't know if it would have been as fun. But because he put so much time into setting it up, he did 3 blends of his own. He did 10 micro batches, and then we turned those micro batches into a full batch and then tasted it against the other batches. And he had everything so meticulously noted. He had spreadsheets on the screen, not just showing you the barrel number, the age, and the floor and the rick house, but like whether it was facing, sun up, sun down. I mean, it was really put a lot of time into it. And whenever we finished that particular blend, I was very, very happy. We all were. We were like on cloud 9 because we just felt like we had hit a home run. And then after it came out, I was even happier with it out of the bottle. It was a big confidence booster. It was like, okay, I think I can do this. I think I can do this. So, James, we had talked about this before. He had sent me some samples, and I don't want to tell the same story, but if I had not had that experience behind me, I don't know if I would have even done it. But James suggested, he was like, why don't you try a blend? Why don't you try, blending it together? And I was like, okay, because I had that confidence, But none of that would have happened had it not been for that experience and all the barrel picks in the past. You got to you got to learn your palate. What works for you on site may not turn out the same way when it's bottled, and you figure that out as you go. And your barrel picks tend to get better and better as you practice. So, whether would I start at NDP or whatever. Right now I'm having fun doing what I'm doing now, which is collaborations with other brands. So I'm doing this with Woodwork. We did the 18-barrel blend. We've got something we're doing tomorrow, which, I don't know if we can talk about that or not, but we are going to Bardstown and doing something.
I can talk about it. I don't know if you're allowed to talk about it.
Well, we're going to the city of Bardstown. We're going to do something cool there.
Yep.
Another cool blend. Ooh. And or at least I think it's going to be a blend. Another collaboration in the works with a smaller distillery, but one that's up and coming and doing really well. And I'll be working with them later this month, creating something new. So I'm having a lot of fun doing that because it does 2 things. It allows me to be creative and come up with something that makes me happy, but then it also hopefully helps the brand. So by making it a collaboration, there's this yin and yang. There's this kind of
and jump into $110 million debt.
Exactly.
There you go.
Pull in a bunch of investors and
true.
And, so that's the way I look at it.
What about you, homeboy?
Probably not. I think that I would like to try a one-off label, maybe, like and probably do it smaller than what David did for Raconteur, little smaller, and truly just a one-off. Since I started where I was in whiskey and where I'm at today, I've obviously learned to appreciate the history and fell in love with it, and really kind of latched onto some of those little moments in bourbon history, and I think that's why I love my job so much, and why I've really, really focused on single barrels, and why I'm a big proponent of them. I know some people aren't, and that's fine, but I am, because they create these little moments. You can go every day and buy a Russell's 10 or a Russell single barrel, Wild Turkey 101 every day on the shelf, whatever. But there are these moments that happen when you find a barrel and the company you're with and whatever it is.
And it's something different.
Yeah. And it's something different.
Unique.
It's this singular thing.
Yeah.
That won't ever happen again.
Yeah.
That exact thing. Like we've done, I don't know how many barrel picks David and I have done together. I don't know that we've ever had the same group of people.
Right.
That we've ever picked.
It's always been a little different.
It's always been different.
Right.
It means something to every other person.
Yeah.
So I like creating those little things, and I, truthfully, the barrels that I pick, and a lot of these barrels or a lot of the blinds that we're sipping tonight are barrels that I've been a part of, and these really cool moments.
Yeah.
And that is sort of where I'm focusing right now. So I don't know that I would full on create a brand.
I could
or
see
a distillery, or
I could 100% see you doing something like what David did with Raconteur.
Yeah.
Do your own one-off.
It truly would be a
awesome.
one-off, and then never to be done. I could just, I like that. I like getting in on the...
It could be volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, bro. You
Maybe.
know what I'm saying?
Maybe.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that's how it started with Raconteur for me. I was just going to create like a one-off, and then I had ideas for other one-offs to follow it.
Yeah.
But then it's like, if you land on something that you really enjoy, and you're like, you know what, I want to try this again.
Yeah.
And can I do like a remix? You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, it's like you're taking the same thing and you're kind of playing off of it. And as long as it stays fun and creative, you've got a good thing going. I think the second you start just saying, I'm doing this for the money, it's over with.
Or have to really work at it.
And then so we went to that barrel pick. I went to the barrel pick yesterday. Episode's going to drop later. But when the barrel pick yesterday, some of us were talking about different barrels and, picks they've got from different places and all that. And one thing that, we talked about before the pick was we're going to pick the best barrel, do it, no matter what we pick, not based on yield, based on this, based on that. And then we started talking about that, like, no, not to knock Total Wine, Liquor Barn, Kroger, those places, because I've actually had several good picks from each place. But a lot of times, sometimes they don't even pick their own barrel, or they take a highest yield, that kind of stuff. And at least with you guys so far, I mean, knock on wood, but every pick I've had has been really good. So like you all kind of like don't put your name on it, unless it's got something good. So that's why, Ron, I could definitely see you doing like a one-off like thing, like how David did with Rack and Sir. Because already anyway, man, if there's like a Bourbon Outfitter or J-Hob pick, one of the first things I ask, I'm like, did you pick it? And if you picked it, I'm pretty much going to probably buy it without even, tasting it. And if you didn't pick it, then I'll taste it first. But in general, J-Hob picks, Bourbon Outfitter picks, overall, definitely much more hit than the other big stores that miss by far. But especially if you picked it, bro, how many times have I said, you pick it? And I was like, Ben. So.
And if you look at especially the ones that I've like, put my actual name on or whatever,
Those are stupid.
I really try and do something it's really unique, really special. And that's why a lot of mine too are, there's not a lot of whiskey to go around. I'm intentional about that.
Yeah.
It's like a safe, not a big risk for a retail side of it. I don't have 300 bottles to move of something. So there's a financial sort of marker that I like to hit, but also I just like to create these little blips. When you look back at the history of whiskey, and especially these moments, these big moments in the 80s and the 90s, or even the early 2000s, like especially the way that the market has kind of gone for like really epic stuff, and nothing that I've ever done is on the level of like a Pappy 15 single barrel, or what I mean. But there are these moments where it's someone like Julian Van Winkle teaming up with someone like Sean Brock to do this epic thing. Yeah. And it's the one singular thing. It happens once, it's gone. But for that moment, it's this really special. I just like that. That's why I'm also like the trends that happen in whiskey. Like I'll participate in them, but I really like to do it first, or try to get on. You had the very, 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 very first Ambarana pick that I remember. One of them, definitely. At least I don't know if I know for a fact the first 5 rare character barrels that came out Ambarana. I was one of them. Yeah. I don't know if mine actually came out first. And now we're kind of done with that. It was very close to being one of the first ones. But I like to do these things where I'm like, I get in, I create this moment in the timeline. Yeah. And then I get out. Yeah. Trendsetter. And I just want it to be like, trendsetter. I don't like getting stuck. I like doing new things.
No, it makes sense. Yeah. And the Ambarana thing, what's funny is that it just got overblown. It just got overdone. Like, enthusiasts that we are, we're always looking for that next new profile, right? So it was like this cool thing to get because it was like nothing like anything else out there. But the problem is that, number one, it totally wrecks your palate. So you commit to that for like the rest of the day pretty much. If you drink Ambarana, that's all you've got going for you. And then there was just too many of them on the market. Well, it's too many, but also what I found was it is so easy to overdo it. Yeah. And so many are overdone. Right. So, like last night, we brought out the Dark Arts Ambarana. And a couple people that had it like, wow, that's one of the best Ambaranas I've had, because it is not overdone. You know, he uses a stave just like Barry Brinegar does with RD1, uses a stave in there, not a whole barrel finish. Because the whole barrel, man, like you can if you one extra day and it's just all of a sudden, cooked. Instant Ambarana. Just instant, too cooked. So a lot of people that are
not big into bourbon, but they enjoy cocktails more, I think Ambrana is like great for them.
The best,
especially on rocks, or just it just because it's just more like a cocktaily kind of sweet, cinnamon toast crunch kind of type
I
thing.
think the best use of Ambrana at this point is probably as a blend element.
Yeah.
So if you add it to a blend, whether it's just blended with straight or maybe part of a, aren't there some Magnuses where there's some Ambrana in there or something?
I have no idea about that.
Okay.
But they've completely changed what they're doing.
Okay.
So that
was cognac and Armagnacs for them.
Cognac and
Armagnac,
Armagnac, and then straights or what have you. But
yeah, I think wasn't there a Boss Hog? Maybe that was Ambrana too, early on, one of the early ones.
No,
anyway,
I don't think it was
I think if
Ambrana.
you use it as a blend element,
Yeah.
You've probably got a lot higher chance of success than just, like you said, dumping it in the barrel and then just turning it into Cinnamon Toast Crunch,
I love the barrel that I picked, and I've done other picks with, before I did the Rare Character one, I did other ones with Starlight. I mean, David and I have done a handful together, and they've all been great, and I've loved them. That was sort of the peak of it, I think. Starlight had been doing cigar batch for years, or a couple years at least, before it sort of hit the craze. Now, they were calling it cigar batch. They weren't really, you didn't say Ambrana. I guess it said Ambrana on the label, but it wasn't. It didn't hit that sort of peak popularity until those Rare Character ones came out, in my opinion. And I was glad to be one of the first ones. I still think it's the best. I'm so glad that I have unopened bottles of it.
Yeah.
And I like to get in and get out, and won't ever do it again. Mm-hmm. That's just me.
Speaking of cigar, man, I have a Buzzard's Roost rye pick from Liquor Barn, and I forgot which Liquor Barn pick it was. It is legit, like amazing. So with Liquor Barn, I think Brad Williams pretty much does like all his picks. I don't think they do like Total Wine or Kroger where they just say send me something usually. But this particular one, man, is like a cigar ash, like in a good way. It's like legit, not just like a tobacco leaf. It's legit cigar. I still have one up there. I have to look and see. I
wish that they
hit it in this
have-
episode later.
And I don't, since facts are optional on this podcast, I feel
Glad you brought that up. Go ahead, finish your thought.
I feel very okay saying this, because I think that they had to discontinue the cigar like batch line or cigar finish line, because I think they were doing it a little. I think they were using tobacco leaves or something.
Oh, they were. What I heard was like using tobacco leaves and like literally smoking the inside,
smoking the inside of a barrel,
smoking the inside of a barrel with tobacco.
So I'm pretty sure they had to discontinue it or whatever, but it was really awesome.
Yeah. Facts optional. I did put this on the Facebook post from the episode that came out a couple weeks ago, and I said, because we're talking about, that was the H. Taylor barrel proof episode, and talking about the Blanton's Gold being one of my favorites. And I 100% know what it is, and I just misspoke where I said it was batch. What I meant to say was that it is pulled to taste. So the Gold is one of my favorites, 103 proof, and it is still single barrels, but they pull those to taste. Whereas I've had some amazing straight from the barrels. I've had some really yucky straight from the barrels and just some good straight from the barrels. Whereas Gold is always great because it is pulled per taste. So yes, still single barrels, not batch. I do need to clear the air on that, so I do apologize. I knew what I meant to say, just It didn't come out that way because I was like 15 pours deep.
I think we have the same philosophy on those. People ask me too, like, which is your favorite? I'm like, well, if I'm talking about, I could try 10 Golds. They're all going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
I could try 10 straight from the barrels, and there might be one that's killer.
And I'm going to like that killer one better than a Gold, probably.
And one that's not
but
very
the other
good
ones
at all.
are,
And that you have a bad barrel, you have a bad barrel. Or you have a barrel that's off or whatever. When you're using water to water something down, you can control it more. And so I think there's just a more consistency factor. Like, you could get a flyer and that straight from the barrel be off the charts, or it just could be like, man, this isn't as good as I thought it would be.
I have yet to have a straight from the barrel that really made me want to buy it.
Really?
Yeah. The Gold have always hit for me. Have always hit. But the straight from the barrel, the best one I've had, I'd say, is probably about as good as Rare Breed.
Yeah. What I'm excited for is I know a local bar/restaurant just did a Gold pick.
Wow.
And had to work that day, so I could not go on the pick. but I'm excited for that one because this particular bar restaurant is known for very good picks. So hopefully I will get one of those, and I'll be excited to try that. Speaking of like picks like that, Ryan, are there any kind of like upcoming things we should be on the lookout for with Bourbon Outfitter or J-Hob? Any kind of collaboration projects, things like that.
Yeah.
That just for our listeners, be on the lookout for.
Yeah. Well, we've got a bunch of picks coming. We're in this lull on the summer. We're coming to summer, so I'll have some more stuff coming in the fall. Just went to Ben Holiday and picked a bunch of barrels with Matt Porter and Dan and Sean from the Bourbon Junkies. I got 2 picks, one for Bourbon Outfitter, a soft red wheat pick, which is really great. It was our favorite soft red wheat of the day. Almost 7 years old. It was 6.5 maybe or something. And then I also did an OG Ben pick for the stores in Kentucky. It was hilarious. And Kyle didn't tell me this until after I picked it. The barrel that I picked for the stores in Kentucky was a Bourbon Lore sister barrel.
Really?
Yeah, so that barrel 1213 went into the blend, or 2113 went into the blend, I think, and then I picked 2112. And Kyle's like, when I remember creating that little micro blend and you guys chose that barrel, and I really loved that 1213 barrel, whichever it was. I think that's what the number was. And he was like, so I went back and I found the sister barrel and I just put it in today. Because we got to try, I think we tried 10 barrels when we went. We picked 5 total, 2 for me, 2 for the Bourbon Junkies, 1 for Matt. And he was like, it's hilarious that you ended up picking that one.
Yeah.
That was a sister barrel to one of the barrels we used in the 18-barrel blend for Bourbon Lore.
That was such a fun.
It was awesome.
Such a fun experience.
And then I did that same trip. I went over to Barrel King, and I saw Jared and Rachel and their team. I went with Dan and Sean and Matt again. We ended up just hanging out for a day and sort of, we didn't really know what we wanted to do. We know we wanted to sit around and drink whiskey together, and eventually we just started like tasting barrels and putting together a blend. And next thing you know, it was 6:00 at night, and we had put together I think a 6-barrel blend that I think I can say this will be the July Barrel King, one of the July Barrel King offerings.
Cool.
For the gold members. It was really, really good. And I think we're going to go back to maybe do something a little larger scale. We had wanted to maybe shoot for something larger, but we didn't want to force it. So that was really fun. What else did I pick recently? Oh, I just went to Starlight a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
With another group that runs some picks through Bourbon Outfitters called Chasing Bourbon. They invited me to come with them to do their Starlight picks. And usually when I go there, it's just sort of on the table that I could find something that I love. And, I found a straight bourbon. It was one of the last barrels that we tasted in the day because Andrew told he was like, "Hey, I got a short barrel that I'd love for you to try."
Oh,
and
you're the short barrel king.
I am. I'm trying to be. And it was funny because the last time I did a short barrel Starlight pick, it ended up being like 120 bottles. So it was short for
them
a 4.5-year rye whiskey,
right,
but short on the actual
in the general
scale.
sense,
in the general
maybe
sense,
not so much.
short.
Yeah.
It was incredible. This one is short. This one he had to get a siphon hose to get samples out of it. So it was a straight bourbon. Their 60-20-20 mash bill, and I think it was around 6 years old. I believe.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure, but it might be a little younger than it. It was awesome. I really loved it. I'm excited for that to come in. We've got JT Mellick pick that David.
Yeah.
Neither of us were on the pick, but it was for us for our partnership for the group. We're super excited about that. Another Alzheimer's charity barrel.
Yep. Thanks to Wes.
Thanks to Wes and Mia down at JT Mellick. We're super excited.
Yeah, I think you said something about that before, but I forgot about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had it. The sample. It's great.
Yeah. Sorry.
What? I didn't even get the joke.
I said I forgot about it. That was really rude, so I apologize.
Fair.
All good. It's all good.
Right.
And whiskey.
And we
got that Brook Hill. We did
the Brook Hill together. All 3 of us.
What about? All right. So the Brook Hill's coming, but what about the rare character of our other one that we tried that day that's going to become a rare character. Has that happened yet? Or no?
Yeah. No, it's not. Because I think that whiskey didn't hit like 10 years old or something until
August.
Summer or
August.
It was July or
we were
August.
going to wait till August for both of them.
Yeah,
that's
right.
That's the one that was
funky
like
as hell.
Was that the one, was it honey? Was that what that was? No. It was butterscotch, wasn't it?
It was just a weird
Butterscotch or caramel, something
right.
weird,
Something like that,
some kind of butterscotch caramel, just like some old crazy.
Yeah, it had a funk to it.
Yeah,
and it was like one of those barrels that they have a note that like you're not going to find it again. It's like either you grab it or that thing's gone.
Yeah,
and that one was so unique, but I think it was so unique that it's. I enjoyed it in our blend of the two, like as a component in the blend.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Remember that component in the blend?
Yeah. And that just wasn't something they could do or whatever.
They can't do with their labeling and all that.
Right.
They weren't set up to really do a blend.
Single barrels, right?
Was it? I think it was 2 parts of the rye and 1 part of that.
Something like that.
Whatever it was.
It was good. It was a good blend. I remember that. But that was a very unique barrel.
And did you all try the samples of that JT Mellick?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Loved it. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
They make good stuff.
Man, because I love that very first one Ryan got us, even though they didn't pick it at all. It was really good. And then the Rice Baby. When I say a blind's killer, you could just like you say, oh, I love something. And you kind of like overuse that statement. Well, blind's killer. There's like so many things. Sometimes I'll say it's a blind's killer that's just good in blinds. That's a blind's killer.
Yeah.
Like legit, the Rice Baby is a blind's killer.
Yeah.
No one ever guesses it's a 4.5, 5.5, whatever it is, year old rice whiskey. They think it's I almost said literally. See, I cut myself off.
Yeah.
They think it's just
Well, they're
older.
foolproof a lot of
Yes, it's wild, man. It's wild.
It has a lot of things in common with Weller Foolproof.
man.
It's that sweetness,
So yeah, Ben Holiday and JT Mellick, man. That's going to be some interesting stuff in the next 2 to 4 years, dude.
Yeah, somebody
like,
asked
for
me
real.
today, like, who are the kind of brands that, and they're my 2 favorite brands.
Dude.
That, like, if somebody asked me, like, what's the new up and coming brands? Those are the 2 right now.
If you're talking about distillers,
If you're talking about making your own whiskey,
To make their own.
Yeah.
Right.
From grain to glass, like
Because
those
NDPs
are the 2.
are still relying on the barrels they happen to get off of that
Sure.
pallet or whatever.
and there's a lot in the market right now, but when you're making your own, I mean that's when the real shit hits the fan. I mean you've got to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And everybody has, they put a lot of time into planning and everything, and they have this hope or this idea of what that distillate's going to taste like. But until it comes off that still, and you get lips to liquid, you don't know what the hell you're making. I mean you've got an idea.
Right.
Yeah.
Kudos to folks like Kyle recognize that we need to wait. And to take it to 6 for their first release, that was a big step. So kudos to them.
I've enjoyed it. Yeah, so I did blind Ryan Lynch last night with the Ben Holiday, just a regular $59 shelfer, and the 1924, and the the New Riff 8-year. So I'm not like anti-peanut. Isn't Dan or Sean one of the 2 anti-like peanut?
Yeah, I don't think they like that note.
Yeah. So evidently there's a little bit of that in the Holiday, I guess. Maybe a little bit of peanut in some of that. So I can definitely taste it. I'm just not. I don't dislike it. So for me, when I did that blind, I picked the Holiday first, New Riff 8-year second, 1924 third. So Ryan did pick the Holiday last, just because it has a little bit of peanut, and he just doesn't like peanut at all. But Ryan, just like me, picked the New Riff 8-year over 1924 in a blind now.
Yeah.
I've actually blinded it twice, so that's 8-year New Riff at $67.
Yeah.
Taking down $120
I'll be
Old
honest,
Forester 8-year, man.
It probably should though. Like I love the Old Forester profile. Like if I had to choose one distillery to like make the whiskey for me that I could only drink for the rest of my life, it'd probably be Brown Forman.
Because you're thinking,
Really?
cool.
Yeah.
Coy Hill, King
I just
Kentucky.
love that like fat kid whiskey, like sweet, and
Wow.
like if
Coy
I
Hill,
had
King
to,
Kentucky, man.
now
Seriously.
I would get to choose it, the age, the proof.
You heard what he said, Bruce, right?
That's
You heard
right.
it?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's right.
Fair
So
enough, fair
David and I now get to go on a bunch of
Yeah,
Russell's picks.
You just lost status.
Ooh.
Just messing with you, man. I know what you mean. I see what you because if you think about like Michter's, which we all know is
Dude, so Michter's 20, Celebration 25,
Right.
King Kentucky, Coy Hill,
Right.
no doubt, man.
Well,
like for real.
all those old school Willets, that are Brown Foreman.
Yep.
I mean, I can see
Yep.
it totally. I mean, think about the original Early Times bottled and bond, not original, but the
Right.
Early Times bottled
Black
and bond.
Cap.
Yeah.
Black Cap.
I mean, what a steal!
Yeah.
$20 for a liter of that stuff. Crazy.
And I mean that distillery.
Too bad
They've
it's
been
all
doing
gone.
it for a long time, except for the 5 cases in Kenny's
You stole my thunder, dog.
north-facing bedroom.
I was going to say, too bad all the black caps are gone, except I got 5 cases. It's all good.
Just 5.
That's right.
Just 5.
Those are 12-bottle cases. Let
Yes,
everybody
they're not
know
6
that.
bottle cases.
Kenny
That's right.
Kenny's gonna be on his like deathbed, and I was gonna be like, I got 6 cases of early times mine at home. But yeah, one thing I'll give Brown Forman is that they certainly have consistency down. Like they've got that down. But there is something about a traditional wood-clad rickhouse that is not consistent. Okay,
Sure.
It's not. I mean, you can have 2 barrels right beside each other, and they'll be wildly different. But in some ways, I find that very, very, very cool because it's like you're going in there with like, it's that whole box of chocolates analogy.
Sure.
You just don't know what you're going to get. So you go in there and there's this excitement. That's cool for single barrels. It's not cool for trying to get a consistent batch.
It makes it tough.
Product. It makes it tough,
sure. Yeah.
right? And I think we've seen that with Wild Turkey because of all the changes that they've had in a short period of time. Like, 2004 sounds like a long time ago, but it's really not in the grand scheme of things. So they had their barrel entry proof change in 04 and again in 06, and then they had a new still go in 2010. Went
And refresh our
live.
listeners real quick about the barrel entry proof changes.
Well, so with Turkey, they went from a 107 barrel entry proof that they had for ages.
Right.
In 2004, they changed it to 110, and then 2 years later they upped it again to 115. I do think that some of that is probably obviously Eddie had a call to make there, but I've heard that ISC, talking about Independent Stave Company, and whether this is true or not, I don't know, but this is what I've heard. I've heard that IFC did a lengthy test on barrel entry proof, and they found that the ideal barrel entry proof for aging bourbon in Kentucky was 115. Now, I'm glad that this is a facts optional podcast.
It is. No,
because
totally facts optional.
But that's what I've heard, and that's what
Yep.
Turkey's barrel entry proof is 115. But all this stuff happened pretty quickly. I mean, you had not just a new still, a brand new facility. I'm talking like fermentation tanks, yeast tubs and cookers. Everything was just complete. Everything was new. People were like, "Oh, it's the new still." It's not just the new still; it's the new everything. And then at one point in time, I don't know when the switch was, but at some point years ago, they were using river water, and then it turned to municipal water.
Yep.
And so there's a lot of changes that have happened just in the last 20, 30 years. That sounds like a long time. It really is not, Eddie celebrated his 43rd anniversary yesterday.
Oh, wow.
So all this stuff has happened in like Eddie's lifetime in his working lifetime, in his employment. That's a lot of changes. New rick houses being built, right? So there's a lot of changes happening real quickly. And it's not just Turkey. There's other places the same thing's happening. Your Buffalo Trace has a new still. I mean, I don't know how many stills Jim Beam has now, 3 or 4 at least probably. There's always changes that get introduced that make consistency more difficult. But for me, I love that inconsistency can lead to brilliance in single barrels.
Sure.
So you have to weed through them.
Right.
For me, it's going to be more that traditional aging, and I'll just accept the fact that a lot of the barrels are just going to have to be batched into something.
Anyway, when I said that, I love New Riff, and David and I have talked about it. We have another mutual friend, our buddy Bryant, who we don't talk to as much more. I know he's
a Scotch guy now.
He's a Scotch guy now. I didn't know that, but I just texted him a picture. I took a picture of you, and I haven't talked to him in a while. And those are like the early days of our friendship.
Yeah, hell
where
yeah.
He's a Scotch guy now?
He's a Scotch guy. I mean, he still likes bourbon too.
Yeah.
So he got the long COVID. Is that what you're saying?
But
Actually, proud of him for that. I'll be honest, because I never pictured him as a Scotch guy.
Sure.
Ever. So for him to branch into a spirit category that a lot of people are afraid of and don't take the time to appreciate, kudos to Bryant for that.
we used to have these group texts where we'd be up late.
Yeah.
All of us drinking, going back and forth and giving our thoughts. And, I remember my favorite thing that I think he ever said was, we talking about New Riff, and it was right when they started. and he said, "Big paws on a puppy."
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I used to say that all the time.
Yeah,
and
it's a good analogy.
100%, and it's no surprise to me. And I have bought a bottle of the 8-year New Riff. It's no surprise that that place is going to make monster.
I think a
whiskey.
New Riff is in here. And I think I know which one.
Interesting.
But I think, and I could be wrong, but I think I know which one it is.
Interesting. Well, anyway, I love that distillery, and that 8 years a killer. I'm excited to see what they can do.
Yeah,
getting some
that
extra
8.
age stuff.
I know. I think I was listening back to the episode. I haven't listened 87 times like L'Anthony Amperos has, but I was a buy on that. I think Anthony Stephen might have been a try, maybe.
No.
But I'm a buy all day just because when I blinded it against at 1924, it won twice.
I'm a buyer because also I talked about these singular moments. Like New Riff isn't going to release their first ever 8-year whiskey.
Oh, true.
And it not be a freaking
it's just going to be a
stellar.
one.
Or
They're only going to do it once.
That's the
right?
bourbon. I guess a rye might follow.
Sure.
Yeah.
So like I think you have to buy that bottle if you get a chance to.
Yeah.
Just for history sake.
I only bought 2, believe it or not. That's how. That's weird for me.
That's very weird.
It was,
I haven't
it was
tried
weird.
it, so maybe when we get done,
Okay.
I can try a little bit.
But the reason I only bought 2, man, is I'm truly am shifting. I am buying bottles that have meaning to them for me. I'm either buying picks I did personally or people I know like you all did picks. I really am kind of like shifting more to that. So
I think that's smart. I
really am.
Because
it's about making memories, man. And if you're drinking bottles that already have memories to them and experiences to them, it's just like more special to me.
well, I think that everybody has to go through that. I don't know the right word for it. What's the word where the Amish, they have that little time period where they can go nuts?
Rumspringa.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think Rumspringa is how you.
Yeah, I think so.
Everybody has their whiskey Rumspringa where they just
Rumspringa.
They go.
What?
I think that's what it's called.
They're allowed to go like nuts for a little while. Like
Sure.
they can like break
They get
the
like
rules.
electricity.
No,
and
they
think
get
a little
they
further
get to
than that.
hot
leave.
water and
They get to leave their
Correct.
village or whatever.
I
and
think
just,
there was a reality TV show about it. On
okay.
like
They get to
TLC
go
or
buck
something.
wild. Buck
they, like,
wild.
go
so it's
to
like
New York.
college for other folks.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, I
It's
got
like,
you.
it's like an
I feel
everyday.
you.
It's like
Yeah.
what you would do
There
at
we
college
go.
every day,
All right,
but they
I
get to
feel
do
you.
it for a short period of time,
Cool,
right?
cool.
But they get to go out and like just party and have a good
Gotcha.
time and get it out of them because they can go back home and like they're supposed to like get it.
They
out
get to
of
buy
them,
like butter from the store instead of churning it themselves. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Man, all right. That's pretty cool.
I'm not trying to turn this into a discussion about the Amish. I'm just trying
me
to say
neither.
that everybody like. I think when you get into whiskey, you all of a sudden like it's like it's with any hobby really. Like when you were 12 years old or even younger, 8 years old, whatever. Whenever you got into like baseball cards or comic books or whatever it is, and you just went nuts and you bought like every pack you could find, and it's the same thing with whiskey. You get into it and you're like, I'm gonna try this, I'm gonna try that. Everybody said this was good. I read a review about this. I gotta find Ober T. Lee. I gotta find Ober T. Lee. I gotta find Ober T. Lee. And like you're going nuts just trying to find everything, and then you settle down and you're like, okay, I like this. You start figuring out what you like, and you're like, okay, I'll try this because it's new, or I'll try this because it's age stated at something ridiculous or whatever. And then you get to a certain point where you like realize, and I think we've all gotten to this point that like there is so much whiskey that we will never even taste. It's just too much out there. Like there are distilleries
In my basement,
yeah.
I'm not going to taste all this.
There's just no
Just even
way.
here. So that's why I'm shifting, man.
There's like a couple thousand distilleries in the United States.
Yeah.
There is no way to taste every brand and every expression.
Yeah.
Impossible. And then throw in the vintages, and then you need about 50 lifetimes to taste everything, So you figure out what you like and what excites you and what you're comfortable with and what your budget is, and then you start getting selective. And selective is different things to different people. Like you said, you look for certain picks. Some people like, well, I'm never spending more than $100 on a bottle, or some people are like, I only like this brand. I'm not buying anything else but Jim Beam or whatever. Everybody kind of has their little walls that they build. I don't think it's unhealthy. I think, you figured out what you like, and then you kind of figure out how to work it into your life and what you can afford and that type of thing. So I've cut back. Everybody I've talked to that has been in this high for long has cut back, but we've not stopped. It's just we've become more selective about how we spend our money.
And I think that's indicative of the entire space, really. I think that I don't fault new brands for coming online, or on the retail side, I see it every day. I'm seemingly a new brand is coming in and being like, hey, we'd really love to be on your shelves, and bottom line is that there's not room enough, unless you just had unlimited space. Even the aisle at Total Wine is pretty packed. You know what I mean? Like it's.
We talked about that a couple episodes ago. Like I walked in and it's unlimited amount of bourbon that I don't want to buy. Like I could care less to buy. So we talked about like what kind of separates you and set you apart. Anthony was big on that aspect, and that's where I'm like, you know what? Like I'm more likely to try a Dark Arts because I know Macaulay and like Macaulay than I am some other brand never heard of. So you kind of like figure out, in that environment, in that space, who you like, who you actually want to support, because you only have X amount of dollars to spend, and who do you want to support?
That's a good point, and I think brands need to pay attention to this, because with so many single barrel picks out there now, there are people who say, I'm only going to buy a pick if this person picked it or that person picked it, or like in your case, they know the producer, like I know Macaulay or something like that. Like they've decided that they've been burned before, so they've spent money on something. I'm never buying a pick from that brand again. So the brands,
so they're stubborn now.
The brands need to think about when they roll these barrels out for their single barrels program. They need to think about that potential there, that you can give a barrel to somebody that maybe isn't up to snuff, and then somebody else tastes it and they're like, "Yeah, I'm out." I'm not going to buy anything from that brand anymore.
Sure.
And it's happening more now than ever before, because private barrel programs, when I first got into it, when you first got into it, there were only a handful of distilleries doing private barrels on a large scale. And even those were only doing a few hundred a year. And now you've got brands doing thousands of private barrels a year. And you're like, can you really have thousands of very special barrels every year? So at some point, you've got to kind of realize we need to kind of cut our program back and kind of put a cap on this.
It's got to be special, and it's funny when I think I said it earlier in this episode where like I know people that are like sort of looking down on that, and I understand if you're a certain size of a producer,
right?
Where like you can't do single barrel picks because it just sort of cannibalizes your whiskey that you could be using,
right?
Like. Not saying that blending is like a crapshoot, but like you don't know really how it's going to turn out. So the best barrel that you might sell as a single barrel, you're right, like very well could improve this blend that I've created, but we don't know that, right? And so, I think like a big legacy brand, Russell's Reserve or Wild Turkey, they're able to make their core products daily and they taste great, and then also do this thing. And what I've always kind of thought single barrels were these like sort of holdovers on the core products or an LTO, right? Like brands are releasing a couple of LTOs a year, right? Well, if that's what you're going to buy, what gets you through to that next LTO? These singular one-off things, single barrel picks, people that you trust or stores that you really love or want to support or whatever it is, or if you're lucky enough to do a barrel pick on your own, like that means a lot to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Getting to do that, have that experience. And so I've always just thought seeing them as a necessary evil, if you want to call it that. I don't see them as evil. You do have to sort of get to a scale where you can afford to do them without it impacting these things that you're going to do on a consistent basis.
Yeah.
It's funny how like that. I've seen that topic kind of come up. Like, are we doing too many?
Yeah. And maybe this is related to what you're talking about, but if you pull too many of your honey barrels out and put them in the single barrel program, it'll affect your batches of your core product.
Right.
And I can't say who, but there's a very well-known distiller who has his own brand, and I talked with him once about they had a release where they decided to do single barrels that year and a batch. And he said that all the honey barrels went to the single barrels, and it left the batch kind of where it kind of like fell flat. You might know who I'm talking about. I don't want to say because he's a good guy, but and he admitted that like it was a bad decision. Like it was too many of the good barrels went to the single barrel selection pool, and then it left the batches kind of flat. It's not wild turkey for those of you listen, because I'm a wild turkey. It's not that, but it did happen before, and so you have to be mindful of that. So if you grow your single barrel program too big and you put all your special barrels in it, you got nothing left for your other stuff. Now, of course, Heaven Hill, Beam, the huge producers probably can do that all day.
They can afford that.
They can do it.
That's what I'm saying. You got to get to a scale, certain scale where if I've got 100 barrels, well, like I really can't afford to sell 20 of them.
No,
you know what I mean? Like, especially if I'm going to make blends that are
You need those good barrels,
5-6 barrels at a time. You know what I mean? Like I need to
take Dan and Sean for example.
Yeah, definitely.
They could do some single barrel picks.
Yeah,
they can't do too many of them.
Correct.
Because if they do, they've got nothing left to put into their blends and their batch products. It is all about scaling.
And I have misspoke about their brand so many times. I kept calling it Essence. For our listeners,
they had to change too.
Yeah, but
they did.
So for our listeners though too, because honestly, man, it's one of those things. You got to decide who you want to give your money to. And I like Dan and Sean, and so far everything I've had from them I like. So can you talk a little bit about what they have? Because it is an Essence. I was totally misspoke multiple times calling it Essence. That's the only thing I had was it said Essence on the bottle.
Correct.
So I totally misspoke.
It's I don't know of many people that do this. They're sort of different in this one particular way. They're just
they are from Michigan though.
They are from Michigan.
Weirdos. So but anyway, go ahead. Shout out Darsh.
Their brand is called. Their distillery is called Evernorth, which originally was called Virtue. They had an issue with some copyright stuff with Virtue Spirits. Anyway, you can, if you really want to know about it, there's a YouTube video. But they changed to Evernorth, their distillery in Michigan, and they're an NDP. They're sourcing barrels and contract distilling with brands that are
established
brands, like Sagamore is one of their big contract distillers, and they can say that. It says on the bottle.
Oh, they posted on social.
It says on the bottle, So they've worked with other brands. And
a lot of transparency.
A lot.
Hint, hint. Buffalo Trace, if you're listening. Hint, hint. Ralph. Transparency's nice. Go ahead. Sorry.
And so they have different. Their brand is Evernorth. Within Evernorth, they have these different lines. Their single barrel line is called Essence. So that could be confusing, I guess, because Essence is very prominent on the label.
You gave me a motor oil.
Yeah, I did.
Essence. Like legit, like as black as this microphone.
Really?
Yeah.
Whatever this is. Foam or whatever this is in front
it's
of
like is it MGP rye? I think it is. 6-year that looks like it's
it probably made like 7 barrel
like
or 7 bottles or something.
It was
short though.
60 bottles or something, like 69
it was
bottles
silly.
I bet.
But anyway, so they have different lines within Evernorth. Their single barrel line is called Essence. I believe their straight blended line is called Night Stalker. And then they have an LTL line, and then they have whatever else.
I can tell you that a lot of people have enjoyed the behind-the-scenes videos that they do putting these things together, because your big brands don't do it. Mm-mm. Your medium-sized brands don't do it. Nobody's doing that.
I think they're funny, though. I like them, man. They have such a great chemistry and banter.
Well, to me, it's fascinating because you have two guys that are basically like setting up the shop in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And not only do they document their successes, they document their failures too.
Yeah.
Like all that problem they had with not just the brand name, but the insurance.
Yep.
They had problems. Remember when they had like cases of bottles and like it fell off the forklift or something? And like they lost like a couple $100, maybe a couple $1,000 worth of inventory or something, So, I mean, it's unlikely they'll compete with Beam or Heaven Hill, whatever. I don't think they're trying to.
No, they're not.
But what they're doing is something from a completely different angle that Heaven Hill would never do. Like Heaven Hill's never going to compete on the Bourbon Junkie scale. They're not going to make the video. You're not going to see this behind the scenes video of like,
but it has that
Max
meaning
and
and
Bernie
personal
having some
connection.
talk or Connor or something like that. You're not going to really see that,
Yeah.
And if they did do a video, it would be a polished video. It would be like scripted, probably
vanilla,
or scripted.
Yeah.
And I understand because they have a public image that they have to kind of maintain. But Dan and Sean just like press play and record and just go for it.
Go for it. Yeah.
And I think people like that. It's like peeking behind the curtain, like seeing how something is actually done. It's like Cops. Remember like Cops in the 90s or watching Cops? Like you just got to watch like cops go out and do shit, like arrest people or chase people or go, just have a cup of coffee and talk and stuff. And like, I think having Dan and Sean do those videos, it gives them a sense of legitimacy, because it's like, these are real guys. This is like, they're just like me,
Yeah.
And I think that's a very cool, I don't want to say angle, because that makes it sound like they're doing it on purpose. I think they're just like an open book. It's kind of like, hey, this is what we're doing. Either you like it or you don't.
I know that they have
cool for a brand,
a partnership with MGP. I'm pretty sure I think that they've said it in videos where like the purpose is to make those videos like show what it's like to buy barrels from MGP and like a partnership program. Like that's the point.
Yeah.
And so I do like that aspect of it. I think that they've two of my best friends in the world. We've been blessed and privileged to do a lot of business together and have a lot of great memories. And some of my best bourbon memories have been with those guys, and so I will support them, and whether I'm in the position I'm in forever or not, like I whatever they needed I would do. I know that I'm going to have a hell of a rye whiskey come out in 5 years or something. Oh yeah, they have maybe my favorite rye whiskey mash bill ever. It's a 52% rye mash bill from Sagamore. It is so freaking good, and the last time I was there, a barrel that I loved that I would have bottled today. Yeah. It was that good.
You put your name on it?
I put my name on it, and I said, you better lose it. Just lose it in the corner of the rick house, wherever it goes. I don't care. I put 2029 on it.
That's awesome, man.
And I'll see you in 5 years. And it's incredible. So they have really cool stuff. They have a ton of different sourcing and mash bills and a lot of variation, and they're doing one-off things, whether it be finishing barrels or legacy finishing barrels or what have you, or blends. We've got a huge blend coming out on Monday,
and they went their own direction with their art too. It's like stained glass.
Oh, it's perfect.
It looks like stained glass.
Great.
And Dan even made a video about this. He talked about how they're able to do this because of the support that they have from their community, and it's a new way of approaching things. It's a good way of approaching things. There are plenty of other content creators outside of whiskey, people that make short films, people that make music, people that do stand-up comedy, that all have Patreon, and their support base wants to see this. Like, they want that. So anybody that kind of criticizes, like, oh well, that's just 6-year MGP, blah blah blah, whatever, it's like, well, it's easy to say that. It's easy to say that for any brand that's using MGP, but you got to look at the bigger picture and what are they doing, to kind of, it's almost like you're kind of going on the journey with them. And I think those videos help. I think the fan base helps all of that. Yeah.
We started a Patreon thing as well. And so far I have one really good Patreon member.
Yeah.
You started a Patreon? Why don't you advertise it?
Arthur Millicent is my Patreon. No, I'm teasing. I don't have a Patreon.
Well, you should start one.
For what? Nobody wants to hear me or likes me or talks to me.
I've heard a lot of people.
Yeah.
I say a lot. I've heard, in the last couple weeks, I've probably heard at least 10 to 15 people say that they've really enjoyed the mashup.
Man, well, we try to keep it honest, like dead serious honest, and it's true reviews with, like, we buy our own bottles. Or luckily, freaking Hector, dude, my boy Hector he's given us several bottles, but we really try to keep it that way to where it's true reviews, man. And I think people appreciate that.
Yeah,
they really appreciate.
They do,
because like money's limited, more limited now than what it used to be in the last several years. And you still want to throw your money away on bottles that are just hype or too expensive.
It's bigger than that. Anybody can do reviews. I think that you guys just have like a fun show. I mean, it's I mean, you're in the podcast business. You're not trying to sell whiskey. I think that's what your podcast is about. But if you don't have a good podcast, you don't have a good podcast. But you have a good podcast, and I think that you're going to get to the point very soon, if not already. Maybe you should already have a Patreon. You need to have some way for listeners to support you. I'm just being honest with you.
There we go. We'll look into that.
Yeah, do that. I'll sign up if you do it.
In the meantime, you can support me at P-Rats when you come buy your appliances or mattresses, TVs, or furniture. And that will support myself. No. So you just mentioned Sean Dan, some of your best friends. DJ is one of your best friends. We're talking about experiences. We're talking about, that kind of thing. So, like the other day, a guy at work asked me, like, hey, if you had, what's your favorite bourbon? What's your favorite whiskey? And I'm like, that turned into I can feel sorry for the guy. It turned into
I just want to go home.
It turned into a 15-minute.
I just wanted you to tell me one thing.
Yeah, and I was like, it turned into a 15, 20-minute conversation because what's that one? So I'm going to ask you guys an incredibly hard question.
Yeah.
Super hard. Super, super hard. So if you had to pick one experience that you've had since all this started and what's most special to you, what would it be and why?
Well,
and David, it can't be that early 80s sample. Something else. We already talked about that.
No,
okay.
It would be the first barrel pick I did with Ryan.
Oh, man. Okay.
With Eddie, Bruce, Joanne. I mean,
okay.
We had just the best crew. This was back when Turkey would let you have like 20 people. But we had like 10 people with it, but then it turned into like 15 or something by the end of the day because Vic was there and Joanne and Bruce and Eddie.
They're strict about that now, bro.
And then Adam brought a friend, and like next thing you know, it's like they're strict about it now. But at the end, it was kind of a party. It was like whoever showed up. Now we were good; we didn't misbehave, but that was just old school. Eddie, popping the bungs, and. Going through them, and he had that leather notebook he would carry with him, when he'd go into the rick house, and you'd ask him, hey, how old is that one, or where'd that come from? They didn't have the stickers on the barrel heads back then. Mm-hmm. He had to open up his leather book and flip through and find it. He'd tell you, But that whole day, I mean, we did the tour. We hung out with Jimmy. It was just awesome. And we picked that barrel for your dad. It was a really cool day. It was perfect. If you had to tell me, what's the perfect, whiskey barrel pick experience?
So that was yours.
That was it. I mean, I've had other amazing ones, like the holiday experience was great. Sure. I thought our Maker's Mark, selection was great. But yeah, that one kind of is up there for me.
So I'm gonna give you a second to think. I'm gonna just talk. It'd be hard for me to pinpoint one. I know one of my most favorite experiences probably was that pick with Bo. Mm-hmm. Because Eddie was there, you had Bruce thieving to Eddie, who's one of my best friends, and I love you to death. So you had Bruce thieving to Eddie, you, me, I was there, all of it. That was an amazing moment. But at the same point, man, daggone, man, with Shab Bolt and Mossick and so many people, it'd be hard for me to pinpoint one. So I don't, whatever you say, I know you might have 20 of those, but I don't know if you could pinpoint potentially one. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard. Man.
I really think that I agree with David. I don't want to just repeat what he said, but that one was super special. That was my first. It might have been my first barrel pick or experience like that. I might have did one with Justin's before then. I don't really remember, but that one was really special for all the reasons that David said. I 100% agree with him.
That's awesome.
And then I've got these other sort of moments like barrel picking. I'll kind of split it up. Barrel picking experience, that first wild turkey pick we did. We picked 3 barrels that day. They were all incredible. One of them being in honor of my father who had passed. The other 2 were just as special too. But that was a special day for if I could go back to a barrel pick, that would be it.
Yeah.
I'm also privileged that I get to hang out with a lot of my friends, and usually you have the barrel pick aspect where you're in the rick house, you're doing the thing, you're doing the tour. But then there's other moments, whether it's at, Airbnb or dinner or these other things. And there was I did a Jack Daniels pick with Matt Porter and Dan and Sean. And then my good friends down in Florida, Dan and Julie And so if I could ever go back to a moment of where we weren't in a rick house, we weren't at dinner, we were just hanging out, it was just us. It would be the Airbnb that we had in Lynchburg, and just staying up late and talking about all this crazy stuff and laughing. And if I could go back to that moment, that's what I would do. And then drinking whiskey, I've had some incredible ones of that. I don't know that I could ever pick a favorite that I've ever had.
Have you had an old Louisville pick?
I've had it.
I've heard it's pretty good from what I've been told.
Yeah.
Shout out to Shannon.
But there was this year. I don't remember the year, but I think it was around Christmas, I think, and I was at Eddie's house where he lives now. I think we were already in college or graduated or whatever, and it was the first time I'd had I think American Spirit.
Oh wow!
And I remember having it with them, and it was this very funny moment where I think the cork had broke, And now I can look back and laugh at that. And Eddie had like this cork, like really kind of like wedged with a toothpick, and he was like really trying to keep it in there. And then he had it like situated perfectly where the cork was intact. It wasn't, and then Bruce just went and like kind of ripped off the topper, and Eddie was like, "What the heck?" You know, like I've been meticulously like placing that in there so that it wouldn't ruin it or whatever. And that was the first time I'd had like premium, I think, whiskey or like what was supposed to be just like LTO.
He's a big fan of that
or different. You know what I mean? Like that's what Jimmy has ever.
First time you remember premium whiskey.
That's the first time I remember.
I think you and Bruce were probably chugging CGF, bro. Back
think
in
about all the dusty stuff we were shooting back in like the 90s and stuff. You know?
We drank good whiskey. We were also we're very not afraid to grab a bottle of peach schnapps and drink that too. Peppermint schnapps is I remember that one in 8th grade. But so I have these different like kind of, that one was like super special to me because I've known those guys my entire life, and they've never, like Eddie's never been anything other to me than Eddie, and Jimmy the same way, and to know that like people just love those guys. It's crazy to me to like kind of look back and look at our life together.
They're stars now.
Yeah, 100%.
They're stars now.
I've never. Jimmy always says I'm just Jimmy from Kentucky.
Yeah,
and that's the only way I've ever thought about him.
Yeah.
Now I understand what he means to this industry and in the space, and the impact he's had on me and countless other people, but. Growing up, you just don't think about those things.
Yeah.
And so that was like a really cool moment for me, like drinking whiskey. I'm sure I could go on and on, but like those are a couple.
So one of the ones, and like I said, it's weird. So, I mean, anybody knows me, like, my kids are older, they're out of the house. So it's like literally just a random Tuesday at my freaking basement can be stupid sometimes.
Yeah.
Like just a random Wednesday. But that time Bruce came over was really awesome and special. That was a fun night. But man, this when we hang out, it's the laughter, man. I mean, we laugh and we laugh. I really enjoyed that night with Bruce because just hearing the stories of him talking with Eddie about Eddie and Jimmy at just regular family functions and picnics and get-togethers, and just I'm like a little sponge and nerd, like to absorb all that stuff. That was really cool.
That's the night we made him open Booker's Rye.
Yeah,
I have a video of him like he was like, "What the hell?" Like
Eddie opened my Booker's Rise, man. Yeah, for us to sip.
That's awesome.
Yeah. It was fun.
I have a video, and
it was just a great night, dude.
Wild, and he's just like opening it, like ripping the wax on it.
That's awesome.
It was a great time. But there's just so many good ones, man. It's,
what I think we should stress this to the people listening is that you don't have to have Kentucky royalty in your house to have those moments.
Not at all, man.
If you've got a whiskey collection and you've got friends who are either they're really into it or they're just starting, or maybe they're not just kind of half interested, pull them in, let them try some stuff, because chances are if they've got that spark of curiosity, you're going to blow their mind. You're going to pour them something. And they're going to be like, "What is this?"
And 5 years when they have a blog about their favorite brand, that's the moment they're going to go back to, right? Like, those are the things that like you talked about getting to a place where you're at, in your journey. Like, those are those pivotal moments. Yeah, and
they're little, but they're big.
Right, that's what I'm saying. And those are the things that I like to create, whether it be on a pick or hosting somebody and going to dinner. And, you know what I mean, like. These very cool things.
Like when Barrel King came over that night.
100%. Like,
that was freaking fire, dude.
Yeah, it was just fun.
He had a great time.
Not to bring up Dan and Sean again, but one of their old videos came up on my random, YouTube will throw you just random videos. And it was like probably their like 10th video or something. So like low budget.
Right.
And it was, I was like, I'm going to watch this. And I watched it and I could see it's like they're the same but totally different. It's like, the personalities were always the same, and they've always been themselves on camera. Like, it's not an act, Now they know what they're talking about, and at that time, none of it. I mean, when you first start, nobody knows what you're talking about. You know what I mean? Like, you're doing the best you can. Some people say fake it till you make it. I don't really believe in fake it till you make it. I just believe in do the best you can with what you know, and you're going to make mistakes, you're going to stumble. But the point is, do you make a connection with your audience, whether that's a viewer or a reader or whatever? And, it was there. You could see why people watch their channel, and you can do that with a lot of the channels. If you go back and you look at their old videos, you can see why they connect with the videos. I think that COVID helped a lot. I hate to say it because it was, crazy time, but people had all this spare time. So they're like, well, I know I watched YouTube a lot during COVID. And, it was like something to do. It was like to get some sense of normalcy. You can't really like hang out with a bunch of people because everything's closed. So, you tune into YouTube and it's like, we
were rebels. We hung out with people.
Well, I mean,
I know what you're saying.
With family and friends and stuff.
I know what you're saying.
You couldn't go to like establishments like you used to.
Sure.
You couldn't even do like distillery tours or barrel picks at a lot of places. Everything was kind of just shut down.
Yeah.
But it was nice to have that outlet. Plus, I mean, people were working from home. You could sleep as late as you wanted to. You could drink, whatever. Yeah. And so it was a different time. But it really worked out, I think, for a lot of the people that were making YouTube channels at that time because they built an audience. Because people had spare time, and the ones that were genuine and had something where they had a connect, audience has kind of kept going. Yeah. Like
just
Matt and some of the others. Yeah,
just like for us with just our actual blinds crew, dude. That's some of the best nights.
Oh, yeah.
We laugh and laugh and laugh. That night at White Castle after one of the blinds nights, that was it's just fun, dude.
Just those
it's
moments.
It's those moments, man.
The next day's different.
Yeah,
the next day is a different experience.
Well, hang on now.
But you take that.
Hang on. Z-Biotics, Waterboy, and Plan A will help the next day. Will help the next day not be so bad. You know what I'm saying? So, just fun times, man.
Well, speaking of blinds, we've
got
something going on here.
So I hate Ryan. FYI, he's giving me some great blinds over here. I can start first if you want.
All right, cool.
So when I started drinking these, I drank the first one, second one, third one, and after drinking the second and third one, I thought he might have given me like 4 Russell's picks, like legit. But after drinking the fourth one, I'm not sure he gave me 4 Russell's picks. So I've talked about this on Journey Drinkers on Mossick's podcast and even on here. I quit doing a lot of like hardcore blinding probably 8 to 10 months ago because I used to blind 3 to 4 nights a week with 5 to 10 bottles a night just for that mental Rolodex that let me get great at double blinds, let me great at single blinds. And I quit all that. Now I mainly just blind for which one do I like better for the money and all that kind of stuff. So I can go back and try to guess distill it just to do it if you want. But first thing I did was just pick my place. So Ryan, like what you poured me. Mm-hmm. My second glass is my first place.
Okay.
My third glass is my second place. Mm-hmm. My first glass is my third place, and my fourth glass is my last place.
So 2, 3, 1, 4.
2, 3, 1, 4.
Okay.
My second and third glass to me are very similar. And that's what led me to believe that I was on like a Russell's pick kind of train.
Okay.
So, but then once I drank number 4, number 4 seemed kind of either toasted, slightly finished. I got a slight sulfur on it like it might have been, but it was also sweet cherry still and a little bit of creamy. So I legit might have 4 Russell's picks here. But my second glass, I guess like 13 to 14 years old, 115, 120 proof. My third glass, I guess 12 to 13 years old, 110, 115 proof.
If those are turkey picks, I want them. 12 to 13 years old.
Well,
there are some.
No, there are. I think you might have poured me some of these epic ones. And he's got a couple of them. I know. My glass number 1, I thought was 8 to 9 years. It was not as dank or sweet, so I thought it was maybe a little bit younger. But I said 8 to 9 year old, 105, 110 proof. And my last place was number 4, and I guess maybe 9 to 10 year old, because it had a little bit more oakiness, I think, than my last one, 105, 110 proof. But I mean, I can go through and try to guess distillate if you want, but that's where I'm at on my ranks and my rough age and proofs on those.
Okay.
So I have no idea what you actually gave me.
You don't have like a good bottle guess on any of them.
Well, hang on. Hang on.
If you got one, throw it.
All right, let me hang on 1 second then. And,
well, you don't have to. I didn't want to.
No. You can. That's fine. And actually, we can have dead space, and Anthony will edit it.
Excerpts.
They're all 1910.
It's EXCERPTS.
They're all 1910.
Anthony.
All right. So speaking of 1910.
That's a great question for the listeners, and this is awesome because I don't have this. Kenny's the only person I know that has this. You should leave a comment. Do you have a base whiskey that you like? When I'm gonna know I'm gonna drink tonight with some friends or whatever, like I'm gonna start with this whiskey, Kenny. Before we do any barrel picks, before we do any tastings, before anything, he drinks 1910. He knows what it tastes like. He knows it every time. He knows, like, based on this, is my palate going to be off? If you have a favorite whiskey that you always start your nights with to see where you're at,
comment the Facebook page or the Instagram page.
Yeah.
I don't know if the mashup. So they don't give me access to the socials, bro.
Sure.
So I don't know if we're on X. I don't know if we're on Hinge. I don't know if we're on Farmers Only. I really don't know.
OnlyFans.
OnlyFans. We need to do OnlyFans. You know what I'm saying? Anthony's kind of sexy.
Yeah.
So,
Strategically
comment
placed
that,
bottles.
Comment that for real.
Yeah, I think that's a good, because I don't really have something like that. I just always
The night at Jordan's house.
rip it.
Remember the night at Jordan's house?
Yeah.
Me and Shannon came over.
Yeah,
That was the night I was screwed. Remember that?
I do remember that.
I drank 1910. And I was like, well, no. First I drank something else. And I was like, oh, this does not taste good or right. Then I went and grabbed 1910. I'm like, 1910 does not taste right. Remember that night I was totally messed up. I knew I was done.
And you kind of judged the rest of your night off that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to drink all that.
Yeah.
Or I don't want to.
Don't pour me that good whiskey.
Don't pour me
Like,
that.
I'm not tasting
I'm
right,
not
bro.
tasting right.
See, I don't have a whiskey that I use in that sense. I like if I have if I'm nervous about some type of like podcast or Zoom meeting or something that like it's high stakes or it's like something new to me, I would just have a little bit of Wild Turkey 101.
Sure.
And just take the edge off the old Evil Knievel, you know.
Yeah.
Evil Knievel he proudly admitted it before every stunt. He did a shot of 101 because it chilled his nerves, you know.
Sure.
And I do this. I don't shoot it, but like I'll sip a little bit of 101, and it puts me at ease. It's also, I love the shit, so it's enjoyable, and it's like it's kind of like, okay, well, I'm gonna do a little bit of 101 here, and then we'll go into it, you know.
Now, speaking of 101, what was that era or age where they accidentally left the old whiskey faucet open longer? Do you remember that?
I don't remember the years or the batch number. There was
like GGs or something.
Yeah, 2018 they had some old barrels dumped.
When they launched Long Branch, they were definitely took a large.
I told them the 8-year
a large amount of stocks away from what they probably would normally use, and so it wasn't that they had. I think there's this old Reddit post. We'll talk about this in a second, but there's this old Reddit where Bruce and Eddie did an AMA, and I think David and I asked about 20 questions.
Yeah, it was like all us in different aliases.
So you can go back and look at it, and somebody says something about there being like 20-something year whiskey and rare breed. And Eddie's like, no, like obviously that didn't happen. And I actually think that I created that rumor that there was older whiskey, and what I think it eventually turned into.
I know another rumor that you created, but go ahead.
I'm sure that there was 20-something year whiskey.
Now they did have the 101 handles that
they did, but those were bad. Those were for a different reason.
Right.
We got those off the shelf.
Yeah.
But what they did was the things that they were blending with older whiskey, like rare breed, which is a 6, 8, and 12 year.
Right.
They were using more 12 year
because
they had less 6 and 8.
Right.
It wasn't that they were using older; they were just using more of the older whiskey.
Right. Higher percentage of the older stocks.
Percentage of the thing. So,
yeah.
They're all these kind of moments, but they've had these, just like what they've done with like Russell's 13 or some of these other LTOs where they're crazy age stated whiskey in Russell's 13.
Which makes me wonder if I haven't had the newest rare breed. Like there's one right here with the new label because my local just is still carrying the old label. So it's like, I've got, I went through a phase where I was buying it like all the time, like trying to compare different. And it's like I have so many bottles of open rare breed.
Yeah.
It's like I'm not budging until like, the new one comes local. But, I wonder, and I'll soon find out as soon as I get one of the newer ones. I wonder with all of the 15 having, being Russell's 15 and then the Russell's 13 and all that. I wonder if there's less of the older stuff going in than there was at that time, like 2018. Maybe. Not that makes it bad whiskey, because Wild Turkey at 8 years is good is a good product. Matter of fact, for those listening that aren't familiar with it, there's a 8-year 101 coming out for Jimmy, which I'll go ahead and talk about real quick. Is whenever the TTB label approval, was released for the 101.8 for the 70th anniversary, a lot of people are like, $300, $400. That's not the case. This is going to be like a $65 whiskey. It's going to supposedly be, pretty widely available. But the reason why they did that, it wasn't a money grab like people are saying. It was because they were trying to give a nod to Jimmy. And Jimmy does not like, old whiskey. He's not particularly fond of old, just like all the old schoolers. Booker, on the label, it straight up says Booker likes 6 to 8 year old whiskey. Elmer liked,
Elmer likes smooth and vanilla.
Yes, that same range. Bill
Smooth
Samuels,
and vanilla.
Same thing. These old schoolers, they don't want the oaky stuff.
We talked about that last night here at the house.
Okay, so
all of us. No, we really did.
Right.
Those old schoolers think we're legit crazy.
Yeah.
For drinking barrel proof.
Yeah.
And drinking old whiskey.
Yeah.
100%.
It is just not something that they even thought about.
But that's why I'm glad
then.
Bruce is becoming more prominent in Wild Turkey.
Sure, but so the 101 8-year 70th anniversary that's coming out, that is purely because Jimmy's favorite turkey is bourbon at 101 proof and 8 years of age.
Yep.
That is Jimmy's favorite. So it's just like Promise of Hope. When Promise of Hope came out, they told Parker, your favorite proof, your favorite rickhouses, your favorite age, we're going to make that a Parker's Heritage. So he did 10 year, from Deatsville. They were all single barrels, and they were bottled at 96 proof. And if you go back and look at the original reviews from Promise of Hope, I can get Henry McKenna 10 year for cheaper, and it's 100 proof and 10 years. Why would I spend my money on Promise of Hope? This is a waste of money. That's what look at Promise of Hope now. How much you're going to pay for Promise of Hope now?
Was it Alves 12, 1,500?
I was gonna say a couple grand,
right?
Or 2,000, yeah.
Right. So at the time, it got poo-pooed on because this is a step down from Parker's. I think the same thing is going to happen with Jimmy's thing. I think it's going to come out, and people are going to, it's just 8 years, blah blah blah. It's like, well, there's a reason for it, and that's because that's Jimmy's favorite. It's one of those things where you kind of have to look at from a different perspective. You can't just look at specs and judge a whiskey because, based on paper specs alone. There's the flavor aspect, and then there's the reason why they did it. And the reason why they did it in this case is genuine.
Dude, that's what we talked about with your raconteur.
Yeah.
Because we had some people talk about, 7
years,
$130 plus the shipping, blah, blah, blah.
It's cash grab.
There's
right.
$22 7-year beam.
Right.
There's $60 7-year Heaven Hill Bond and Bond.
Totally different.
Tastes totally different. Well, this 7-year raconteur is, again, totally different.
Right. And James and I talked about, you could go non-age stated, and some high-end producers do. And I don't have a problem with that. That's their decision.
You could pour a bottle of a 14-year in there and say it's a blend of 14-year and 7.
Right. It's like, I felt like it was more important to be, and James felt the same way, to be as transparent as possible because, people are just going to keep asking and asking and asking, and if you keep dodging it, they're going to be like, okay, what's going on here? He's hiding something.
Right.
I'd rather just come out with it and then say, just try it. Just like I don't fault Ed Bly for making a $250, Old Stubborn. I haven't tried it. $250 is a big roll of the dice. I'd have to try before I could buy it. But if he thinks that's what it tastes like, that's his decision, and maybe other people feel the same way. It really boils down to taste. But at least he's telling you what's in it. He's telling you it's pot still, it's from West Virginia, it's 10 years or whatever it is. He's not like hiding it, going, "It's some non-aged. This is a special, unique blend of blah blah blah."
Yeah.
$250. At least he's coming out and telling you what it is.
That's like your boys at Holiday, man.
Mm-hmm.
Their bottle is transparent.
Yeah.
Like crazy transparent. That was awesome.
I think they're probably
I enjoy that.
The most transparent bourbon producer there is right now.
Maybe Bardstown Bourbon Company.
Yeah, I would have. Yeah, you're probably right because they give you percentages too.
They give you percentages.
Yeah.
But I think Holiday gives you percentages too, don't they? Do they?
I didn't think it was
No,
percentage.
I think it's percentages. Now Kyle might.
it is.
It is.
Oh, is it?
They got percentages on here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's it gives you the
I guess
percentage
you're right,
based on
yeah.
the floor. Yeah.
Sweet.
So yeah, they're about the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bardstown's doing that with not just bourbon though. They're doing it with rye.
Well, and I
whatever.
think that
Yep.
that's why maybe my mind goes to them is because I know that Ben Holiday's making all their whiskey. They're being transparent about the other things.
Gotcha.
The thing with,
That- yeah,
with
good
Bardstown,
point.
I think, is like Discovery.
sourcing too.
Discovery is usually mostly
things.
not their stuff,
Right.
So it is very important
Good
for them
point.
to be uber transparent,
Right.
So.
And they can't tell you the producer,
Sure.
but a lot of that's because of NDAs and whatnot. And then also it goes back to what we had talked about before we even started this podcast. Like you don't want to build your brand on the back of some other brand.
Sure.
You don't want to have to be, that's a crutch. Like, oh, it's got Jim Beam in it. It's like, no, don't worry about, you don't have to do that. Just this is Bardstown. This is our blend, just build it on yourself.
Fair enough.
All right. So back to my blinds. My glass number 2, I wrote potentially MGP or Wild Turkey. I think you give me 4 Russells pricks, bro. I really do, and I could be totally wrong.
All right.
That's fine. I don't care to be wrong, but I still got my first place, second place, third place, fourth place, and that's where I'm at.
The same 2, 3, 1, 4.
2, 3, 1, 4,
Cool.
and I thought number 2 was 13 to 14-year-old, 115 to 120 proof. 3 was 12 to 13-year-old, 110, 115 proof. Number 1 was 8 to 9-year-old, 105 to 110 proof. Number 4 was 9 to 10-year-old, 105 to 110 proof.
All right.
But, so what's this reveal? I'm ready to be just freaking blown away and shocked.
All right.
Let's roll.
So you want to start at last or first?
First place.
First place. That is,
That's number 2.
that is a rye whiskey.
Oh, my gosh. I'm so stupid. Rye whiskey.
Yep.
Okay.
And it is 8 years old.
8 year.
And it is 140 proof.
140.
And
Hang
it
on.
is a really, really cool looking pink.
Is that your
bottle.
TKO? Is that your TKO?
Yeah. That's a barrel pick that I did from Rare Character from their TKO series.
Ah.
Their Tennessee rye whiskey.
This is Dickel.
Yeah,
Aged in
Dickel
Kentucky.
distilled.
Dickel
Right.
distilled.
Wait, what's crazy is this is experimental Dickel,
experimental mash bill.
which is better than anything Dickel ever makes themselves.
why they're not making exclusively
taste it.
this
Where's it at?
whiskey. I got more
Right
too.
there.
Why they're not
Here's clean
exclusively
glass.
making
Clean
this
glass.
whiskey, I do not know. 70% rye, 25% corn, 5% malted barley.
Wow. Because I said that's
Can
the
I
only.
curse?
Hang on.
Holy
That's-
shit.
That's the only one I wrote. I wrote MGP / Wild Turkey on that one. So obviously it's not, but I'm saying that was
How
just.
old
that's,
is that?
8 years old.
No way.
Isn't that silly,
Yeah, I swear.
dude?
Grab
Isn't that
the bottle
stupid?
right
No
there. I see
way.
it, Kenny.
It's down here. Right
It's right there.
This is silly, man.
70 25 5 mash bill from Dickel.
You didn't send me this link, dude.
I know I didn't. There were 42 bottles.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's killer.
Isn't that stupid?
That is killer.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So I'm scared to see what my next.
I've got
guesses
that
are.
one.
Yeah.
I'll trade you that one for this one.
I got a couple left. I got
Dude.
you. That's an insane
Save
bottle.
enough for the blinds this year.
I will. I got a couple. It is the most. It's funny you asked me if I had tried the Wild Turkey Kentucky Spirit that was like watermelon, and for this series that Rare Character has done to the TKO,
That's a different watermelon.
it is.
That's watermelon pop rocks.
What I said was if you took a purple bag of Skittles, and you just liquefied it and put it in whiskey form, that is the flavor
I
profile.
could see that, and purple
It's
Skittles
like
are
tropical fruit, pineapple,
My favorite
mango.
Skittles.
Like it is wild how crazy.
purple
it is.
Skittles are the best Skittles.
Yeah.
Now, you can just the rest of the Skittles they could just die.
This is one of the ones. Look at that, David.
I know. I've got
No,
I've got
right
one.
there.
I don't have
it
that
has his
one.
true name on it. So we talked about earlier in the podcast. Talked about barrel picks, but when he finds something special, he actually puts his actual little true name on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an awesome. I love that whiskey.
Yeah.
All right, number. So
That's your one.
glass number
Wow.
3.
That's
Glass number
killer,
3 is
dude.
my second place.
That is
Glass
killer.
number 3. And I picked all of these. It's funny that we were ended up talking about this, but when I picked all these because they're just like these
One-offs.
really cool things that
Yeah.
I just saw have this connection to. So your second place, your third glass, is a Knob Creek pick.
Knob Creek.
You might have it here.
Okay.
Maybe. You got a bunch over there. It's from a liquor store here in Lexington called Unlimited Spirit. It is a 16-year, and it's called Monster Mash.
I have Monster Mash over there.
Yeah.
So this is Monster Mash?
It's a Monster Mash, yeah.
I have Monster Mash. I have one open up there and one backup upstairs.
It's a 16-year Knob Creek pick. It's absolutely one of the best Knob Creek picks I've ever had.
Oh, it is.
And some good friends of mine who are no longer with us helped pick that. And so Ricky and Julie Mungle, shout out to the OGs of Lex Bourbon.
Man.
They helped pick that. And so I saw that, and I love that barrel pick.
You know what?
I might freaking good.
I might only have Monster Mash too. Now I'm thinking about it. I will look here in a minute.
I'll be able to tell you it might be Monster Mash too.
I'm gonna look and see. I will look in a minute when we get done. All right.
Anyway,
my glass number one was my third place.
Third place. This is a gem that...
Dude, he is smiling when he's saying this. He is laughing at me right now while he's saying this.
This is a gem that... Well, only because I know what number 4 is.
Gosh.
This is a gem that our good friend Jordan Newberry found us. I think actually maybe his dad found.
Oh, is that that old pepper?
No. This is a Bullet.
The Bullet
single barrel.
The old Bullet, the Ebony Majors one.
An Ebony Majors barrel select that his dad had found at a Walmart. For like $40.
No.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, dude, it is awesome.
No.
Yes.
Yeah, it's insanely good.
Here's what gets me, and I've never met Ebony, but when she did the blenders, select
that was
whatever,
awesome.
impressed the hell out of me.
It was great.
And probably one of the most satisfying purchases I've ever made in my life, because I made it on a recommendation. Somebody said, "Hey, you need to buy this," and I just happened to be at a liquor store and I saw it and I bought it. And I'm like, I'm not a big Bullet fan. I went home with very low expectations. I burned. This was during COVID too. I burned through that thing. Like, it did not make it. It made maybe 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I remember.
I killed that thing.
Yeah.
And such a talent. Like, I was really, because as you know, blending is hard.
Yeah.
It is not. It's
easy.
easy to find single barrels.
Sure.
Relatively easy.
Yeah.
It either sucks or it's good. It's one or the other.
Yeah.
But blending, it's like one little thing screws the whole thing up, and you got to start all over again, all that, and
it changes. Over
just
time.
killer. So I can't imagine what a barrel.
Oh man,
from her
it's
would
so
be
good. And like I really do think it was like $40.
Sheesh.
And we were like, go buy them all. I know that he bought a bunch.
I think it was his dad that found it.
His
Sent
dad
it to
that
him.
found them. And
I need to taste it.
It's really freaking good. I got more of it too.
So I guess 8 to 9 year old 105 to 110, and it's 104 proof, so I wasn't too far off on that.
Yeah.
And then also on the Monsters Mash, I guess 110 to 115 proof.
Yeah, your proof's right on.
It's got
Not
this
bad.
little.
I totally missed on that freaking
perfumey thing at
TKO
the
though,
end.
bro.
It's really good, man.
The TKO is not drink 140.
I know, dude.
That TKO is sneaky dangerous. Sneaky dangerous.
Yeah. It's a great barrel.
You got me scared
My
for number
favorite thing
4.
about this is the finish. It's like it has this little like perfumey thing, these top notes.
Yeah.
But you just
It's one of the OG Bullet barrels with like the bright orange tag. Like literally probably first 10 barrels they ever did. Single barrel program.
Now
like,
this one could be Four Roses possibly.
it very well could be. I'm pretty sure.
I know
that
a lot of the other ones aren't, but this could be.
When I'm pretty sure we might have been the first Bullet single barrel at J-Hob, and we picked a barrel and we called it Shelbyville Shorty, and it was like $45 or something like that, and it was in that bright orange tag, and then eventually they went to like the black tag,
Right.
But this was an orange tag, was in a Walmart in Louisville,
Sheesh.
Kentucky. And it was on clearance or sale or whatever, and it was absolutely killer.
I kind of want to cry. That's
it really is very good.
That's sad good.
Yeah.
Like that was a missed opportunity.
100%. Yeah.
That's like the people that like passed on like the wax top Willets when they were $100.
Right.
Because like, I'm not paying $100 for that crap.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man.
And then your fourth place.
All right, so my fourth place though, I just drank it again. I did write down. I put toasted ? Finished ? Sulfur ? So it's got something going on with number 4.
Yeah.
All right.
I picked this one just because it's always been like the standard We had to do a wild turkey because David was in town. Number 4, your last place is bluegrass berries.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Last
That
place?
hurts my heart.
Place, yeah.
That hurts my heart.
Yeah.
Man.
That hurts my heart.
Shout out to
But I said 9 to
old
10.
school BB&T.
But I said 9 to 10 year, 105 to 110 proof. So the proof was on. How old was bluegrass berries?
9 years old. I mean, it wasn't anything like
So
special.
my age and proof was good.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting about blinds though is what you put in the flight
In the flight
can
matters,
really mess with
100%.
things. Like
Yeah.
especially if you're throwing rye in there and stuff, it can really skew things. Like single malts, these type of things will really kind of throw curveballs, and it makes the scale wonky.
Well, it also like depends on what you try before it. Leading up to it. Like this is the last pour.
Yeah.
Maybe it's affected by that. Who knows? It's a K barrel.
Kaiser, wow.
Bluegrass berries, the infamous. Actually, I was talking about that Reddit post. I said I would bring it back up later. If you go into that Reddit AMA, there's somebody asked Bruce. I think it's Bruce and Eddie what their favorite barrel pick of all time is, and they both say bluegrass berries.
I think I know why too, because they taste this stuff every day.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I mean, we taste turkey pretty much every day, but they really taste turkey every day. I mean, they're in there tasting it as new make. They're tasting it at every 2 years, that kind of stuff. So when they land on something notable, like something unique, something out of profile, that means something to them.
Yeah.
Throw it into a blind with a bunch of other stuff that's more conventional, it may not land. What is that?
That is bluegrass berries.
Ooh.
That some wonderful and horrible person at the same time freaking just gifted me a bottle of it. So this is a K, so it's barrel number 17-1034. Does that mean it was
2017 for the program?
pulled for the program of 2017? K. It says floor 414.3, whatever that means. 414.3.
14 is the Rick and then the position. Yeah.
Okay. So this
fourth floor.
And so I just went back and like drank a little bit more of it. So where I was thinking like toasted, finished, sulfur, it's actually kind of a dusty element.
Interesting.
Like, hang on, number 4. So David, taste this. I'm gonna pour all that in there.
I've never had bluegrass berries. I just am familiar with
This
it.
is
from
the
all
same day
conversation.
that when my good friend Ben Pickett, would probably never listen to this, but the day that he picked this,
I know Ben.
he chose bluegrass berries over Twix, the original Twix that Toddy's did for Toddy's Liquor in Bardstown.
Yeah.
And then the next day, Guthrie came in for Toddy's and picked Twix.
Yeah.
And so they had literally had these like all-time
Two
barrels,
epic barrels.
Like I think that now I've not seen like market
great.
price on some of the 13 or 14 year barrels like that have been private picks, but the most expensive Russell's pick that I know is bluegrass berries.
I love it. To me, it's not my favorite single barrel.
Yeah, I would agree. Like it's always just been that like a benchmark.
Yeah.
For like these.
I'm more
like,
CNF or like
sure.
2017 B,
yeah,
Tyrone
27B
B
was awesome.
Yeah, some of those. Then there were some like duds, but there were some 2017 Bs. Like if I could go back in time, I would stock up on the Motor Supply Company.
Oh yeah, killer barrel.
B. Shit, oh, God. I mean, some of those 2017 Bs were just phenomenal.
Yeah.
But some of those H's were killer. The M's.
Yeah.
God, the 2016 G's and M's. These were like legendary kind of profiles.
Before, it's funny, a lot of people like know the Russell's picks now. Is like, I only know Camp Nelson.
Right. But some of those
like,
early
if it's not
Tyrones.
Camp Nelson, I don't want it.
Yeah, it's funny. So you and I lived through this.
We lived through it,
when Camp Nelson first hit, we were kind of like, what? What is this? This is weird. Because we were used to like those killer B's, K's, D's, H's, M's.
Yeah.
It was just like boom, boom, banger after banger after banger of that traditional turkey quasi-dusty profile. And then Camp Nelson came along and we're like, what? Like you're getting all these like weird like burnt cherry kind of like notes coming at you. And like it was different, It was really weird because the very first barrel pick I did was with Eddie at a country club in Columbia with Adam. And that was Amy McClam, Adam Howard, my dad because he was the DD, and Eddie. And we were in there and like it was all Camp Nelson. I'd never heard of it. Like, I mean, it was like I was expecting those D's and B's and M's and stuff that we had been tasting forever, and all of a sudden these weird profiles were hitting me, And I was nervous, first of all, because I'm meeting Eddie for the first time. It was my first barrel pick, so all this pressure was on me. I was having a really hard time picking something. And Eddie, I think he recognized that I was having some difficulty. And credit to Eddie, he goes, I tell you what. He's like, I want you to try this. And he reaches in his bag, and he pulls out the sample bottle, and he pours it for me. He's like, tell me what you think of this. And I taste it, and I'm like, this is better than all the other ones I've been tasting. He's like, that's the pick, isn't it? And I'm like, it is. He's like, that's my favorite one. It was from Camp Nelson. It was Camp Nelson F, 5th floor, and that became one in a century. Mm-hmm. And that pick, I mean, I have to get Eddie picked that barrel. Like, I was stuck, you know.
Yeah.
And I couldn't make a decision, and so he told me like that was the one that was his favorite, and we went with that. And I really admire him for that, because he kind of got me out of a rut, because like I was really on the spot. Like now I'm really comfortable. If I go to Turkey, you know, Bruce fills my glass, I walk around. You're the same way. Yeah. We know, you know, it's like, it's not a big deal. You know, either you like it or you don't, whatever. At the time though, it's like your mind, you can't. It's like you just got to relax, you know. Sure. And like at that time, I just couldn't do it because it was new, you know. Yeah. And so Eddie pulled me out of that. But yeah, so it was really weird going from all these killer Tyrone barrels. Right. And so now it's the flip.
It's the flip.
It's like oh, nobody wants Tyrone. Yeah,
I don't want it.
Well, I'm newer. To me, those 2009 CNF sixes, F6s to me, just where I'm newer to bourbon. That's where my jam is. That's my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Because I did. So in a blind, I went to Ryan's house one night. It was me, Ryan, Jordan, and Andrew, and we blinded Bluegrass Berries against Star Hill Shorty, Ryan's pick, and something else. And Star Hill Shorty, that beat Bluegrass Berries for me then.
Yeah.
But I'm newer to bourbon in
Shark
general.
Buddy's good too.
You know, I don't know if it was, I can't remember. What was the third one? I don't know what we did. But those 09 F6s are me, just where I'm newer. That's in my wheelhouse jam, you know?
Yeah.
And back then it was the opposite. And I know several people that are like, what the hell is Camp Nelson?
Yeah.
I don't want that shit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not picking that.
You probably remember it.
Yeah.
That night after the pick, you were talking about those long texts with you, me, and Bryant. I was up late, and I was tasting the sample bottle that Amy gave me, and I had doubts.
I remember that.
This just isn't like anything else.
It's not turkey.
It's not turkey. It's weird. Like, you're like, no, dude, it'll be okay. Like, y'all weren't tasting it. You were just trying to reassure me as a friend. Like, it'll be all right. I'm sure it's good. You know, if Eddie liked it, it'll be good. And now looking back, I'm just like, now those 18 and 19 CNFs are like the shit. Like, everybody chases those. Mm-hmm. But like at that time, it was so different from what was out in the market. Right. Like, we were just because back then you could buy 2016 G's off the shelf.
Right.
You'd go to some podunk, you know, like liquor store in the middle of nowhere, and they'd have like rows and rows of strip label, like 2015 handwritten labels.
Yeah.
They're collecting dust. Nobody wanted them, and so that was where things were at in 2018. You know, and here we are now, just a few years later, and it's like. I mean, tear strips, they probably have a couple $100 premium on them, I would imagine.
Yeah, easily.
Dude, I've got 2015, though. I have a Shepherdsville that you got me, Alves. You got all of us. 2015 T6.
Mm-hmm. You couldn't trade those for a little more than retail back then.
These are amazing.
Now, we got lucky with those.
Very lucky.
But those are the ones that we bought a bunch of.
Yep.
Yeah, we got those at retail. But yeah, those are $250, $300 secondary minimum.
Yeah.
And back then nobody wanted them. You could trade them for anything.
So Berries is double. Like Berries is
$500 to $600. $550, $600.
If someone will sell that.
If someone will sell it,
If they'll sell it, it'd be $500.
And the sad thing is you do need to trust who you're working with, because all you've got is a name tag and a laser code.
I know that laser code by heart. I promise you. Like, I've looked at it multiple times. Like, I've multiple.
Well, you have to for your job.
Well, you know, and I think I have 2 or 3 other bottles of that, or like I've gotten pictures of other people's bottles, and I've like very much done my due diligence.
And this is what people don't understand about stickers. I think people think that stickers, and for some people they are a way to just tater something up. But there was a time when stickers were necessary, and for Russell's picks, stickers protected your pick. So if you put a sticker on your bottle, you know, that secured people from like flipping, you know, your pick, and it like made it legitimate. You know what I mean? So stickers served a purpose at a time. Now, with the label and all, they're not necessary. It's more to just commemorate.
Right.
But back then, it was kind of you had to.
This bottle here only says Russell's Reserve on the front.
Yeah.
Single barrel. There's nothing on the back. Nothing on the back. Only a neck tag.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, I have a buddy of mine, a local guy. We'll just call him Wam Johnsley. How about that? So, Wam Johnsley bought probably a 25 to 30 Russell's picks.
Uh-huh.
And one night he pulled out a Twix. We drank it. And we were like, ugh, this isn't. Got with Alves and then somebody else, and they pulled laser codes.
Oh.
The neck tag that was on that quote-unquote Twix.
That's all it took.
That was not a Twix at all.
Yeah.
Or if it was a Twix, it was either not Twix at all or it was like a Twix 5, 6, 7, not the original 1 or 2 or whatever. So, yeah, that you literally you have to know your laser codes on these old Russell's picks.
And the ones that have stickers are the ones that you don't have to sweat as much.
Yeah.
Which is why I get worried about buying 98 Russell's 98. You don't just buy it. You take a look at it, right?
Sure.
You look at the laser code. You're careful because all it takes is you go on Amazon. Anybody can buy this little shrink wrap crap.
Yeah.
And so if you go on eBay, you go look at past auctions. There are 98, 2002, 2003 Russell's bottles that have been sold, and all somebody has to do is refill that.
So
if anyone from Campari is listening, do something about it. Find a way to protect your product.
Yeah. So not to interject between our blinds, but Lanthony Amperos did send in a question, and it hits on what you're talking about. He said, "What is your all's thoughts on vintage spirits market now? What do you have to worry about? There's so many auction sites, Facebook sites." Should we be concerned about fakes and counterfeits and stuff? And that's, man, I have really slowed my roll on buying Dusties right now. I really have. The Japanese with the mafia, was it Yakuza? Yeah. Whatever, they're big time into doing fakes. Man, it's tough right now for me.
This is Ryan's forte here.
Yeah, I think that you definitely should probably err on the side of caution. If you're going to buy something like that.
And you honestly hope your cork breaks when you open it up.
Right, yeah.
You hope your corks break. Yeah. I want my cork to freaking break.
Yeah.
Then it's more likely to be real.
I think that I don't want to paint like the market, secondary market or whatever, this big bad villain. I think that wholly it's filled with good people who aren't trying to scam people. I do think that there is a certain percentage or whatever that are gonna, if you can make a buck, you're going to, and that's the sad kind of truth about it. Yeah, I think that there are things to be leery of. The biggest thing is just educate yourself.
Yeah.
On what to look for. If it feels too good to be true, it probably is. That's a number one rule. I mean, we do that. Facebook and Instagram is full of people trying to scam. If somebody's reaching out to you with something, they're like, out of nowhere, like it's probably a scam. Yep. Definitely be selective in who you buy for or what have you. I think it's definitely something to be cautious about. I don't know that it's running rampant where it's 50% of everything is fake. Like, I just don't think that's true. But obviously we've seen it happen, and that's publicly happened, and it's definitely something to be aware of. I don't think that it should necessarily turn you off, but you just educate yourself.
Yeah, I think that your example with the bluegrass tag, that's not, you're not going to see that on a large scale.
Sure,
that was some person being shitty,
and it could have been an honest mistake too.
Maybe it could have been a trade of a trade or something like that, but it was some low-level person being shitty.
Right.
The big counterfeiters are going after Macallan and Pappy. That's where the money's at.
Sure.
Why spend a lot of energy trying to fake, a Booker's bottle when I can make a lot more faking a Macallan or a Pappy?
Yeah.
So that's the ones you really have to worry about.
Yeah.
The low key stuff like this, I mean, I still think you need to do your due diligence 100%. And trust who you get.
But he bought 25 picks. It could have just been when they put them in the boxes, the
could have been
tag could have fallen off. That one could be just an honest mistake on something like that.
But this is another reason why I recommend places like Justin's because, yes, there's a premium
they authenticate.
to it. But I mean, people get upset about this. But think about it. They have overhead. You've got a business. You've got employees. You've got all of your expenses that come along
and
with
they
any
authenticate
business.
that crap
right.
too.
But that's the key, right?
Yeah.
You've got people like Ryan and Caroline that are doing the research. They're not going to put something out on the shelf that they're not sure about, right? So yes, it comes with a price tag, but it also comes with a lot more of a guarantee than going out to Yahoo or Facebook or whatever the hell you're doing to get your
Craigslist.
right. And,
Where you at, Jordan? Where you at, Jordan?
So right. That's it's things to take into consideration. But yeah, so the sad truth is with the old Russell's picks, you've just got
nothing but a neck tag, and you got to look at the lasers.
So stickers are actually a benefit when it comes to those. People talk about stickers being, I remember when that was like a topic of discussion was like stickers or stickers going too far, and I was like, people don't understand that stickers were kind of a necessity for some brands, So.
All right, David. Well, since Ryan gave me my blinds, Ryan gave you your blinds, we're going to move on to you. Here we go.
So I tried to do the Kenny Mills method. I tried to do that. I'm going to work on age and proof. And I just, since I knew that these were, if you had not told these me.
But you knew these were your picks.
Right.
Though.
If you had not told me that these were my picks, I would have done that method.
Right.
It's too hard.
It's hard.
I'm sitting there
It's
going,
hard not
which
to,
one is
Which
this?
one is it? Yeah.
Now, the problem is, if I had done this 3 years ago, I would have been like, okay, I think I got this.
Yeah.
But now I've done a lot of picks, so it's really hard.
Yeah.
So here's where I'm going to go with this. I'll do the rank first, and then I'll tell you what I think they are.
All right.
Okay. So glass 3, I'm going to rank as number 1. I think I know what all these are, but I'll probably be wrong. But
Wow.
If you know these, dude, I'm going to be so impressed.
I do too.
Okay. So
I might actually give you coffee tonight.
I think I know what these are.
All right.
I
You're
could
gonna
be
get a
dead
coffee.
wrong. Okay. So
3 is your number 1.
3 is my number 1.
Okay.
My number 2 is number 1.
So 3-1. All right.
Okay. And then my third place.
Two is number 1?
No, 1 is.
No.
3 is number 1.
Yep.
2 is number. I'm sorry. 1 is number 2. Okay. 4 is number 3.
Okay.
Okay, so that leaves 2 as number 4.
All right.
And I'm going to tell you what I think these are. And
right.
I'll probably butcher it. The hardest one for me is number 2.
Okay.
Glass. Let's just do B. Okay. A, B, C, D. So again, to do to make it easier for listeners. Okay. Glass C is my number 1. Okay. Glass A is my number 2. Glass D is my number 3. And glass B is my number 4.
Okay.
So I think that my number 1, which is glass C, I think this is our Maker's Mark private selection that we did with Bruce at Maker's Mark. Don't say anything yet. I'm just going to go through them, and you can skewer me when this is all over with. Okay. I think number 2 is a turkey pick. I'm sorry. Number 1, glass A. My number 2. Number 2.
Your number 2 pick.
My number 2,
glass A.
I think is. I think that's Camp Nelson B. The one that we did with the guys from Starlight, only because it's got a lot of savory notes, and I feel like it's got a savory turkey vibe. So I'm going to go with that. I think that C is my number 3. D is number 3. I'm messing this all
D.
up. D is my number 3. I think that's a new riff. It's like I'm stuck on that one. It's very new riffy. I don't get a lot of smoke on it, so I don't think it's smoky. I'm going to go with Dad's Away on that one, but it could be candy and it could be smoky, but I'm going to go with Dad's Away. And then the last
Your fourth place is glass B.
I think it's the Knob Creek Rye recently did. It's really different than everything else. And at first I thought it was finished. It has these bakery notes that are really thick and rich, but I couldn't think of a finish that really brought those notes out. It's definitely not sherry. It's not port or anything like that. So I'm going to go with the Knob Creek Rye selection.
Dude, this is so fun.
So I'm probably way off. I probably drank too much because I did have some alcohol on my flight, but we will see.
All right.
How did I do?
So you got one bottle right out of the 4. Now, you didn't get it right but you talked about a bottle that is in this flight. The rest of them are not in there.
Wow.
So I'm going to tell you.
But just so listeners know real quick, blinds are key.
Sure.
Double blinds are impossible.
No, I love it. This wasn't double. This was semi-double blind because
no, this is double blind, bro. You have no idea.
Well, no, I knew they were picks of mine.
But how many picks you done? 700. Give me a break.
Not 700. I've done a good many, but
double blinds are total mind screws, man.
They mess with you.
I love double blinds.
I thought about asking if there's a Ryan here because of that. This whatever B is really messed with me hard. Like it's haunting me.
So any of the listeners listen back to that Camus whiskey podcast that we did where we got double blind sent in and I guessed 2 of the 3 correct. I will never guess 2 of the 3 correct ever again in the history of ever for double blinds.
I'm not embarrassed.
They're so hard. Like they're
difficult.
Stupidly hard.
Yeah.
Like I expect to be wrong 100% of the time.
I almost wish that I didn't know they were my picks because I probably would have given better notes and stuff. I did write down ages and stuff. I didn't write down proofs.
I'm so interested to see these results. All right.
Okay.
So that I don't confuse myself. Which glass? Go back to 1, 2, 3, 4.
C, third glass.
Oh, I was doing letters to try to make it different, but
third glass
even
is
messed
first
me
place.
up.
Third glass is first place.
Yep.
Your third glass is 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
That is Jack Daniel's Whiskey House.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. To me, it
Is that
had
a bourbon
like,
or rye?
Bourbon.
Okay, bourbon.
To me, it had
94 barrel proof.
Barrel proof.
Okay.
To me, it had like a really strong toasted oak kind of vibe, which is what made me think it might be the Maker's Mark. Like I said, if I had not known, if you had not told me these were my picks, I probably would have done a better job. Yeah. But I'm sitting there trying to do that.
Yeah.
You know, when you were kids, you took those tests and they had like A, B, C, D, and you had to draw the line to connect it to the thing. So like I'm trying to do that. To me, it had that toasted stave vibe.
Yeah.
But what it is Jack Daniel's just that barrel proof.
Yep.
Has that real oaky vibe. I did not get any banana on this, which is kind of a testament to a good barrel.
B-A-N-A-N-A-S.
So okay, cool. All right, I'm fine with that.
So that was your first place. Your second place was what number? 1, 2, 3, or 4?
My second place was the Glass A, number 1.
A, number 1.
Number 1.
I thought it was Camp Nelson B.
Far left.
Far left. Number 1 is Wild Turkey Kentucky Spirit, Kentucky's Finest.
Okay. All right. That's
an older one.
Yeah, see, out of all the Kentucky Spirits I've done, that's not one of my favorites.
Really?
And it's a lot of other people's favorites.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, wow, okay.
That's an older
so maybe it should be one of my favorites because that really did well in this blind.
All right.
I got the turkey right, though.
You did get turkey right, yeah. And then third place was D.
Third place was D. Mm-hmm.
Last 4.
I thought it was New
4,
Riff.
yep.
Or 4. That is Maker's Mark, Loretto and Lawrenceburg.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
It has a New Riff vibe to it. I don't know why.
Interesting. All right.
Even now, like, still kind of has a New Riff vibe. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And then last place was your second glass.
Yep.
Yeah. What is that? Because this is screwing with me.
That is Plume.
What?
What is Plume, bro?
Yeah.
I don't know what Plume is.
Yeah.
What is
No
Plume?
way. That does not come across as 95.5 to me at all.
I'm telling you.
What is Plume?
It's a 95.5 6-year rye.
From
Kentucky
where?
Rye from Bardstown Bourbon Company.
When did you do this?
It's a rare character pick.
Does that smell like 95.5 to you? I guess now.
It smells. Hang on, let me taste it.
That messed the hell out of me, man.
Now that I know what it is,
Yeah, it's
I
going
get
to
it
be obvious.
95.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess because it's that Kentucky. Now that you say it, it's like, okay, it makes sense to me.
It was funny. We were talking about, off the podcast, we were talking about that. So it made me laugh when I knew that was coming in there.
That is wild.
Yep.
Well, hey, you know what? I got rye right.
Right, you did that.
I got rye right.
Yeah.
I got rye right.
I can still see a low. But it doesn't taste like some other 95.5s I've had though. So I could.
What's Kentucky
yeah.
95.5?
It's
Yeah.
95.5 Kentucky, made in Bardstown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Rare character pick.
I
David
thought
did.
for sure it was that Knob Creek, when I did. Because it had these
I got
these
that pick on the
baking
table.
spice. Yeah.
Yeah.
It had these baking spice notes to it. And
Dude, that pick is great.
the honey and the baking spice is what threw me off. And now it knows is way different.
Sure.
So I really messed that up. But it's funny because, how tasting notes, and maybe different for other people, but for me, they live in my head. and I'm sure people have similar experiences, when you're doing a blind, it's like somebody took all those tasting notes in your head and just shook them all around.
Sure.
And they're like all like mixed up and messed up, and you're like trying to like reorganize them. And you'll find one thing, and you'll say, oh, that one thing exists in this whiskey,
Right.
so it must be that whiskey.
Right.
The reality of it is, yeah, it exists in that whiskey, but
a lot of
so do a
other
lot of
stuff.
other stuff.
Yeah,
but you've
100%.
zeroed in on that one note,
Right.
and that note is now determined
Right.
in your mind what that
Yeah.
whiskey is. It's just like, have you ever done the test where you've read a paragraph and all the words are misspelled, but you can read it perfectly fine
right.
because your brain automatically adjusts and says, okay, well, I know what he's trying to say is this, you
Yep.
know. It's the same that your brain works by association. So if it finds something it can latch on to, it will,
Yeah.
and it won't let it go.
Yeah.
So, man, I love this. Thank you, man.
Yeah,
that
that's
was
cool.
awesome.
Those were fun.
That was awesome.
Yeah. All right. You want to do mine?
Yeah, man.
Or
No,
David? Do
David
mine?
has your key.
yeah,
yeah.
I've got to find it. Hold on.
I really don't. I have bottle guesses, but I think I'm wildly wrong. I did have one favorite.
What was your rank?
My rank?
Okay.
Very easy. 4, 3, 2, 1.
4, 3, 2.
So,
Oh,
4 was
just
your
literally
first
4,
place.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah. My my first place, which was glass number 4.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but that to me has to be a Russell's pick. I thought it was by hands down the best one. That felt like a
Okay.
Russell's pick to me.
Okay.
I don't know which one though.
I will tell you it's an epic pick. I'm going to let you go through them, and then I'll tell you what they are. You're
right.
going to be like, okay, that makes sense.
My second place, which was my third glass, I question marked both my guesses on a couple of these. I don't know what that is. I said a Starlight pick.
Okay. But it's your second favorite?
My second
Okay.
favorite. My third favorite, which was glass 2, I said Maker's Mark, Loretto, and Lawrenceburg. That
Okay.
one I, for whatever reason, just had a Maker's Mark
Okay.
vibe to me.
Okay.
And then my last place, my first glass, I said a Wilderness Trail pick.
Okay. All right. Those are actually pretty decent guesses because if you look at some of the specs, they're all bourbons.
Okay.
Okay. So you didn't have any rye, so
Right.
you're right there.
Yeah.
I think when you look at proof points, what your guesses were in line with those brands. Okay, so fourth place, which is glass number 1.
Yeah.
I'm going to go backwards.
Okay.
That's your Ben Holiday pick.
Okay.
That's your 7-year Ben
All right.
Holiday pick.
Fair.
Which you said Wilderness Trail,
Yeah.
which both of them are craft distilleries.
Sure.
Both they're not super high aged
Yeah.
kind of stuff. So I think that's not too bad. Both,
That was a J-Hob pick?
yeah.
Okay.
Your third place, which was your second
Glass number 2, yep.
Yep.
that's a new riff pick. That's Quarter Pop.
Oh wow.
That's
All
Quarter
right.
Pop.
Man, I thought
Damn good pick, though.
I thought maybe a new riff would be in here.
Yeah,
I tried to outsmart him. Like, that's the thing with blinds too. Is you also
Yeah.
try and like think
Yeah.
and like you try
Well,
to
like I said,
outsmart
you lock
yourself.
onto that one
Yeah,
note. And
yeah,
you're like, I know that
yeah.
note is in this one whiskey, so it's got to be
Yeah.
that whiskey.
That's awesome.
Okay, Glass 3, which is your second place.
Yeah.
That was Swifty, Russell's Reserve.
Oh wow.
K pick.
Okay.
Which
All
I
right.
mean, that's
I love that.
yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, so what is Swifty? I'm not familiar.
That's the one that we did for Scotty
Okay.
for the when he did the Dave Chappelle show, and Scotty at a Dave Chappelle show got to sing Taylor Swift with Donnell Rawlings.
Oh, wow.
Another comedian who opened for Dave Chappelle, and obviously
Scotty.
everybody else from
Scotty too hotty.
the Chappelle show. And so we called it Swifty because that was Scotty's favorite barrel of the day.
Okay.
And
Nice.
Donnell came out to a Taylor Swift song and
Okay.
got to sing it with Scotty
Sweet.
on the jumbotron. That's what about that. But anyway, I did like that pick though.
So it's first place.
All right.
I'm not surprised because I knew it was going to come out first.
Yeah.
All right.
Because it's a banger. It
Okay.
really is. That's our Four Roses pick that we did.
Really?
Yeah.
Which one?
Tell me that thing's not
That's
awesome.
really good. Yeah.
I've got
Which Four
nothing to
Roses
try.
Yeah, I want to try some.
Yeah, dude, it's
I thought it was
bonkers.
hands down.
It's bonkers,
the best one.
dude. Put it this way, just to tell the story to the folks at home. We went to this Four Roses barrel pick. We get in there, and Mandy, who runs the barrel pick
Dude,
program,
she is so awesome.
she goes, "I already know which barrel you're going to pick." Before we even got started, she
Also,
goes,
Mandy pulled a Kenny.
She
Huh.
goes,
Nice
she
to
goes-
know.
She goes, "I already know which barrel you're going to pick, but we're going to do this anyway."
Yeah.
So we did the tasting. Now we all agreed beforehand. No one opened their mouth. We all did this silent, and everybody had to come up with their own favorites alone.
Yeah.
And then we did a vote where everybody voted, instead of voting what their favorite was, they voted what their least favorites were. And out of all of the votes, there was one barrel that got 0 votes. Mm-hmm. And we had Jake on the pick, and Jake is new to whiskey. Mm. But Jake Langston, like, he knew that was his favorite.
Yeah.
Everybody knew it was their favorite. Yep. It was like, if you look at, it was like unanimous.
Yep.
That's good.
We knocked out our pick in 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Mandy was like, I've never had a group pick a barrel this fast. Like, y'all can go on a tour. Like, she took us on a tour of the maturation facility. Yeah. And this one is a total banger. It's a OESQ, 10 years, 9 months, 5th tier.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah.
So
is that a newer pick?
The warehouse is JE.
That's a newer.
Yeah, October.
Yeah.
It comes out Monday. It's through Keg and Bottle.
Keg and Bottle.
All right, so Andrew Bacon Goodman talked about the JEs, the actual Qs from JE pick runs.
Yep, that's what this is.
Yeah.
OESQ,
JE. Yeah.
And this is 66 5R.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
10 years, 9 months.
So like how our OBSK QS88s are right now like an epic run, those JEQs are supposed to be an epic run.
Okay.
Well,
heck yeah.
Tasting's believing.
This is very good.
Yeah, I thought that one was killer. I could have
ISO, a link to Keg and Bottle to purchase.
It'll be gone by the time that this podcast comes out. But yeah.
No, I'm saying for me.
I'll make sure you get it.
ISO for Ken Arthur Millicents, my one Patreon member.
Awesome.
That's great, man. It really is. It's really good.
Yeah, that pick was almost effortless. It was like, okay, I'm done.
Gosh,
we went through it. And that was the easiest barrel pick I've ever. I went in there sweating it. I'm like, dog.
That does not taste like a normal Q at all.
No, it doesn't.
Wow.
See, Qs to me have always been what I call quirky. They're always quirky.
Even they said Qs were like for blending type stuff.
That to me tastes like an old OESK.
Yeah, Qs were not made to stand on their own originally from what they had before.
Right.
They said
they're kind of like a blend element.
Yeah, a blend element.
That thing right there.
It stands on its own, bro.
And Mandy nailed it. She was like, I've already tasted these. I know which barrel you're going to pick. And she nailed it. She was right. I mean, it was like shooting fish in a barrel. Wow. I was like, this is over with.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Dang.
It was like if I go back and look at all my notes, it was like I had all these things written by all the other ones, and then that one I just had circled, and I was just like check mark. I was like, I want that one. I was like, the rest of them it was just me making notes to make notes, you know.
Yeah.
So that was fun, dude.
Awesome. I like that.
Yeah. I got more if you want it.
Good
so.
barrels.
I got to kill this stuff before I leave because I got to put other samples in them.
Yeah.
Ooh, boy, it was good.
Yeah.
Anything got closing, Kenny?
Yeah, is there something you want to
closing? Bro, it's 10:30. We still got 2 more hours left, y'all.
Oh, here comes the 150 proof. We're dead.
No, recording for 3 hours.
I do want us on air though. I want to go ahead and pour Ryan's 32-year Irish though, for real.
I'll do that.
Give me your Four Roses glass.
I'm gonna
have a little bit too. I'm gonna pour you a little.
I got 2 clean glasses and grab a third one. So this is God dang. I always mess the name up.
Is it like a 50-pound bottle?
This is a Clonakilty. So 32-year-old Clonakilty single malt Irish whiskey. And I am going to pull a sample of this from my boy Darsh because what they say this is, based on last night with us tasting and blinding, I think it's a different, because whoever does this, like they're newer, but they like sourced old barrels or something.
It's very common in like that.
But this is, from what we tasted last night, and we tasted some other older stuff, this is supposed to be like old school Bushmills. Does not taste like old school Bushmills. Yeah. It tastes like old school Middleton.
Ryan told me.
Tastes like old school freaking Redbreast crap, dude. So Darsh is like the best palate I know for Irish. I'm going to pull a sample for Darsh as well on this so he can try that. Hang on.
I hope that's for everybody.
It is. That way it's less pouring out of the bottle, so you're less likely to drip.
I mean, we're not all Alves, you know.
No, so this is for everybody. So this I had last night. This is honestly...
Damn, what the hell is that?
Dude, this honestly is amazing.
Apples.
It's like grapefruit, like ruby red.
This is from a pick. This is from actually a pick from a group out of the New York area.
Wow.
It's like if you took like a red grapefruit and just like injected it with whiskey.
Yeah.
I didn't tell you all the proof on this. I want you to taste it first, though.
No, I don't want to. When Kenny pours these like oddball Irishes, I'm like, okay,
usually,
maybe I am an Irish man.
Yeah. Usually they're.
I've got Irish DNA in me. Maybe that's what's singing. Yeah. I've got Irish ancestors, so feel how heavy this bottle is. That's like a weapon.
No, it's in like a.
Okay, you know how Frey Ranch is a weapon.
Right.
This would take a Frey Ranch bottle and like destroy it.
Oh my god!
It's like a gold bar.
It really is. Oh, matured in sherry hogshead.
Yeah, but it doesn't taste sherry finish though.
83, 85 proof.
You know, like your conventional sherry finish is more like nuts and leather. I don't get any leather or any nuts.
Yeah.
This doesn't taste sherry finished at all.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this.
I mean, now that I know that sherry finished on the nose, maybe, but not on the palate or finish at all.
Yeah, I enjoyed this a lot.
Are like the like yellow spots, the red breast, are they single malts?
Yeah, they're all single malt.
They're all single malts?
Yep.
Okay.
It says single pot still, so I didn't know if
Yep. No, they're all single malt. So, yeah, they're all single malt, and some are like finished. Some are sherry.
Right,
some are
how
bourbon.
do I get a bottle of that?
That
You have to know somebody who knows somebody?
well, it sold out in the group. They were like $14.50 a bottle.
Ooh.
So expensive.
Wow.
And $14.50,
30,
$14.25 or $14.50 a bottle.
Okay, well, thank you for the experience.
Yeah, I think they're all sold out now.
Yeah, I would imagine.
But
wow.
So where I'm at on this, and I wish I had a sample here still, the Hennessy Paradis or Paradise, however they pronounce it, is also a big fruit bomb like that. And then I had from Darsh the Green Spot 26 year. And those I think are around $1,800, $1,700. And I think the Paradis is around $1,200 or so. So I really wish I had like both of those to try next to that, because I remember that the Green Spot seemed like a lot more complex. So you add a couple $100 to it.
Look at Ryan looking that shit up. He's like,
Yeah.
B-I-N.
Well, the thing is, my guess is if this was supposedly like a Bushmills. But if this is really truly coming, to me, it tastes more like the Redbreast Middleton profile. And if it is a 32-year Middleton, dude, that's like the Dreamcast. This is like a $3,000, $4,000 bottle. So I really don't know.
What other 32-year casks have you tasted?
No, I've never had anything
Okay,
like that.
so
just some Armagnacs or some crap like that.
It
that's
really
super
is
old.
hard to, without a comparison. It really could be from any Irish producer. I mean,
so what we did
32 years is a long time.
Well, we opened up a 26-year Bushmills last night.
Okay.
Tastes nothing like this. Whereas the Redbreast 27-year tastes more like this. That's why even though they say it's more Bushmill sourced, based on our tasting it, we think it's more daggone Middleton sourced, Middleton Redbreast sourced.
Wouldn't they know though?
Man, dude, think about our bourbon world. Like we just did a Blue Run pick. They said it's Wild Turkey sourced. But after talking more and more, the barrel might have came from Wild Turkey, but it was really like a Buffalo Trace or some other thing.
Fair
You
point.
just never know, man.
Yeah,
you just
fair
do
point.
not know back then. They didn't care back then. They didn't keep records of all that stuff back then.
Right.
They really didn't care.
Do Irish whiskey producers even care now? I don't know. I don't know anything about the category.
Have you had Redbreast 27?
Well, I think we had it one day smoking cigars, hanging out at J-Hob.
Because this is more Redbreast, not Bushmills, on taste to me at least.
I trust your judgment because you are, much more familiar with Irish whiskey than I am. I mean, my limits on Irish whiskey is like Jameson,
Right.
Redbreast,
Yeah.
Bushmills, and that's like it.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about shelf stuff. I'm not talking.
Yeah, this is like just so sweet and fruity. Now this also, though, say on the proof, this is 85 proof. I have never had an 85 proof be so viscous and flavorful, though.
Yeah.
Oh, it's killer.
Now this
that's 'cause it's
this is cask strength at 85 proof also.
Yeah.
A lot colder environment.
So daggone cask strength at 85 proof. This is
it makes
wild.
sense. I mean, you got used oak.
Yeah, it's wild.
in a cold environment. You're going to, colder environment.
Be able to
Right.
age it forever.
Yeah.
32 years, I could see the proof going down.
Yeah, I really like that a lot.
I love it. Matter of fact, it's almost brandy-esque in a way. You know what I mean? It's like if there was such thing as a citrus brandy,
Right.
I would imagine it would taste like this.
Yeah, instead of apples, you're using like
like
you
blood
said,
oranges or something, grapefruit or something like that. It's like if
On my Redbreast 27s, though, I get peach, blood orange, grapefruit notes on my Redbreast 27s, man. So
I can see.
That's why I think this is more Middleton Redbreast, not Bushmills.
It does have like a stewed peach. It's not like a fresh peach.
Yeah.
But it's like a stewed peach, or a canned peach. God, that's good. That's if you had not told if that were like $200 or $300, I'd buy it.
It's
Instantly.
$1,400
Instantly,
bro.
$1,400. That's tough, but I mean, wow, that's good.
Yeah.
I've never had an Irish whiskey like that. Like we've had that one before at J-Hob, but the 27, and it's awesome. But that right there, to me, has left a big impression. Now, I don't mean to hurt your pride, so if you want to pour me some of the 27, I'll tell you which one I like better. But that's killer right there.
Yeah.
I know that 27's your darling.
No, so last night I blinded Ryan and he blinded me both. We did 2 different batches of Redbreast 27 and this finished first place for both of us.
That
Now, granted, your Redbreast is currently $800 at retail. I grabbed a bunch at $550 to $650.
But so this is a single cask.
All of these are though.
But Redbreast is not, right?
No, it is. Those are all
okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's just an exceptional cask.
But this is why. But $1,450 and it's over twice the price of the Redbreast. Yeah, but it did finish first place.
All right.
It's got to be the heaviest bottle in the game, too.
Shoot.
So, all right, here's what I
Work out
heard.
with that damn thing.
I don't know what all we should. I guess I don't care because we don't have we're just a small little podcast. Screw it. But that bottle supposedly cost $200.
I wouldn't.
Retail?
No, the bottle cost the people that made that.
Oh, the glass.
The glass cost $200. So here's the thing: they could have put this out without the fancy box, without the fancy freaking bottle, all that crap, for probably $800, $900. But because of the fancy box it came in, because of this glass, this bottle literally cost $200, they had to jump the price up to $1,400.
If you just basically say whiskey
Yeah.
in general, not talking bourbon, rye, whatever.
Yeah.
That is one of the best whiskeys I've ever tasted.
Yeah, no, I agree, man.
One of the best whiskeys I've ever tasted, period.
That Hennessy Paradis and this, because I went off memory on the Hennessy.
Well, Hennessy's brandy.
Is it brandy or cognac? I thought it was cognac. Hennessy's cognac.
Well, cognac's brandy.
Yeah.
But this is whiskey.
But these two are just that sweet fruit bomb. Let me just sip this and not get tipsy and drunk. I'm gonna just enjoy this.
I might get tipsy and drunk if I had that bottle.
Man, we talked about this, man. 90 proof and lower to me is like non-alcoholic whiskey.
Yeah.
So this is my non-alcoholic whiskey right here.
That is dangerous.
85 proof is
if that were sitting in my house.
Yeah, bro.
It would not last long. I mean, I would have to hide it from myself.
Yeah.
That is.
It's a fruit bomb.
That's really good.
Now that's something else.
I'm very sad that it's $1,400.
But now that what is this? June, mid-June, early June. So we're getting these hot summer months, man. And that's like you said, you have a lot more drops coming this fall. So summertime a lot of times is not like the bourbony time because it's just hot weather. So that's where, honestly, man, for the next 2 or 3 months, I'll be hitting my Redbreast even more because it's just fruit sweetness, lower proof, 105 to 107 proof.
What I tend to do, especially if I'm grilling or something, I don't at home inside. I don't do rocks pours, but if I'm outside, I will, and I keep it really simple, like rare breed, 101. Because you're at the grill. I mean, anything pretty much tastes good when you're sitting there and the meat's grilling and you're smelling it. It's like you got bourbon. Doesn't really matter what bourbon. For me, it's Wild Turkey. For you, it might be something else. You're just enjoying life. This is not something I would do that with. Sure. This is something I would wait till the kids are asleep. I'm chilling. I'm watching a movie or something or listening to some of my favorite tunes. I'm going to pour a glass of that, and I'm going to sip it slow, and I'm going to go to bed with a smile on my face. That right there is spectacular. One of the best whiskeys I've ever had in my entire life. Seriously.
Yeah.
Love that.
It is
Love
great.
it. Not kidding.
Hot summertime, man. What are you sipping on?
Cocktails.
Yeah.
We do a cocktail. We don't even sell it, but we drink it a lot, and we call it the Alan Anna for one of our employees, Alan Cornett, Eat Kentucky on social media.
I know Alan.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know him, but I know him from social media.
He's great, and he's wealth of knowledge too. He's like really into whiskey, and somebody that I'm really blessed to have on staff. But he just got back from like a couple weeks in Italy.
I saw all that.
He
hanging with the Pope. Just kidding. But
he
almost.
But pretty much.
Pretty much.
But he really
spirit.
likes things that he really likes, like Amaros and different kind of things. And so what we do is we just take whiskey, Campari, and L8.
Yeah.
And that's I drink a lot of that in the summer.
I've got a beach vacation coming up at the end of this month. Just repeating last year with my brother-in-law, and he has this drink he makes. It's some kind of he calls it an infusion, but it's like I think it's, if I remember right, it's cranberry juice, vodka, and ginger ale, and it's good.
Yeah.
Like you fill up a Yeti, and you go to the beach and you sit there all day and you have a good time, and that's fun. It's a way to unwind. You don't have work.
Yeah, definitely will drink like a little cocktail or a mixed drink, and definitely on ice. Like whether it's like a big glass of like crushed ice or whatever, and it's usually what I'll make that with. I'll fill a big glass with crushed ice, 2 or 3 ounces of whiskey and an ounce of Campari, and just fill it the rest with L8 and mix it up, and maybe if I'm really fancy, throw a Luxardo cherry in there just because,
Yeah, I've kind of mellowed. Like when I first got into the hobby, I would poo on like gin and vodka and these kind. But as I've kind of gone through it, it's like cocktail culture is a real deal, and you have to kind of they're not. Whiskey geekdom and cocktails are not the same thing.
Sure. And
you have to kind of broaden your mind and be like, okay, there's a whole thing about making a cocktail where it's about constructing a flavor. Mm-hmm. And you can't equate that with whiskey. People are like, I get the whole Fred, vodka sucks and all that kind of stuff. But it really doesn't in a cocktail. No, it's like great. You can say vodka sucks, and I would agree with you if you're talking about sipping it neat.
Sure.
I wouldn't drink vodka neat either because you're not tasting anything. It's just pure ethanol and water. But in a cocktail, if crafted correctly from a good bartender or whatever, it's fine.
There's a reason why a lot of them are made with vodka.
It's fun. It's all about 100%. Just chilling out, having fun, hanging out.
Yep, agreed.
Wait, this is a whiskey podcast. I'm sorry.
No, it's all over. It's all good. We're actually going to do a old fashioned episode pretty soon. It's supposed
really?
To be, yeah. It's supposed to do some old fashioned episode.
If you do that, something I recommend.
Which we're going to do on the old fashioned. We're going to try different bourbons and ryes to see which one makes a better old fashioned.
Okay.
Yeah.
You can go that route, or you can go non-traditional. Mm-hmm. And some of my favorite non-traditional old fashions are the coffee old fashioned, where you take iced coffee, like a Stoke, where it's like a cold brew you can buy at the store. Make your ice cubes out of unsweetened iced coffee, and then use that for your cube, and then just make an old fashioned like you normally would. It may not sound good. I'm telling you, it's awesome. It just has this richness to it. Now you have to be a coffee fan. If you don't like coffee, I don't recommend it. But if you love coffee and you love bourbon and you love an old fashioned, it's like Avengers Assemble. I mean, it's like everybody, So try that.
Okay.
If you don't like coffee, don't try it. But if you like coffee, try it. I like
coffee.
Okay, try it.
Well, so fellas, it's great having you on tonight.
Yep.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
Anthony, we missed you. Steven, we missed you.
I'll see you later.
Yep. They got Kalana Kilty with you. I just messaged the guy that ran the group that did that pick. like, is there more of these left? He's like, nope. I'm like, dang it.
Yeah, of course there aren't any left.
Yeah. I could have bought in on those, man, but I never tasted it, dude. It's like 14.50 with never tasting it. Ugh, couldn't do it.
You know, like when it comes to Irish and Scotch, you expect a maltiness.
Right.
Like I got
Scotch, yes, but Irish, man.
Well, some of the Irish I get maltiness too, but that is
Irish. I get sweet. I get fruit on Irish.
That to me sips more like a brandy than it does a whiskey.
Yeah.
I thought it was like when you said it was sherry finished, I was shocked. Yeah. I was like, sherry? Like I did not take. I did not get. I didn't get any sherry notes at all. I got 0 nuts, 0 leather.
Yeah. So I did read your blog or your post, part 1 on Rare 101.
Oh, okay. Triumph.
About the Triumph.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I don't know when this is going to air. Here's the thing. Here's the tricky part. So, for our listeners right now, this is like just raw, straight from the heart. I've been pushing Anthony hard for a Tuesday drop. All right. Anthony's fighting against it. He's busy. I understand it. Everybody's busy.
2 episodes a week.
I'm pushing hard for 2 episodes a week.
Wow.
Because
that's cutting edge,
people
man.
That's
bleeding
man.
edge.
I'm just so this episode here might actually drop This episode might drop 2.5 weeks from when we're recording this. It might drop on a random Tuesday. I'm pushing hard for a Tuesday drop, so we will actually see when this drops. But anyway.
We had a great time.
We did
a good blind.
Blinds tonight.
We tasted something that I never expected in my life.
Ever.
Good
for
stuff.
real. I will always remember that.
Yeah, appreciate you guys coming on. Great times, fun times as always. Anthony and Steven, you all taking those multiple vacations a year. So y'all are missing out on this fun time like this. But we'll see you guys soon.
Yeah, y'all missed out. Time to crack the Red Hook. See you later.
Oh, that's right. Oh, Ryan did bring a Red Hook rye. So I've never heard of that before. So we will enjoy that here in just a minute off air. Peace, y'all. Later.
And with that, thanks for listening to this week's edition. Please like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Mashup KY.
Don't forget to visit our partner, bourbonoutfitter.com. Enter code The Mashup for a special discount.
Also,
head on over to our partner, the Woodwork Collective, at woodworkcollective.shop. Enter code Mashup for a 15% discount.
let us know your thoughts on this bottle in the comment section. Until next time, keep it neat.